Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and our good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, we'll move straight to item 5. Correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 3rd September 2024. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, is it page 9?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Page 8.
Page 8, yes.
The first sentence on page 8. His Excellency the President will return to Accra on Sunday, the 8th of September, 2024. Speaker, it seems to me that the appropriate rendition should be that the President will return to Ghana will return to Ghana on Sunday, 8 September 2024. The Speaker, that will be in sync with Article 59 of the Constitution, which provides that the President shall not leave Ghana without prior notification in writing, signed by him and addressed to Speaker of Parliament. So when he returns to the jurisdiction, which is Ghana, it should be so registered.
Honorable Member, I read a communication, and it's the text of the communication. And so, but we will cross-check whether it really stated will return to Ghana or will return to Accra, because that's the correct direction. From your constitutional knowledge and what you refer to, you are right. But it was the text of the communication to me that I read to the House. So table office, kindly cross-check and let's do the right thing. Page 9. Yes, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker, on page 8, that is paragraph 7, the second sentence, Mr. Speaker urged the House to sponsor. The verb to sponsor is not properly spelled. It should be O instead of E.
Did I actually urge the House to sponsor or to consider?
Speaker, what I heard yesterday was to consider
Yes.
A private member's bill to deal with the matter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Honorable members, is that the sense I conveyed yesterday? So I can direct the clerk at table to do the necessary amendment. Silence means consent. So please, table office, kindly delete the word sponsor, but to consider. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the second sitting of the extraordinary meeting dated Tuesday, 3rd September 2024, are adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honorable members, it should rather be the first sitting, not second sitting. It's the first sitting. I have in my possession copies of 3 official reports dated 25th, 26th, and 27 June 2024. We'll start with the one on the 25th of June 2024. Any corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any corrections, the official report of Tuesday, 25th June 2024 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. The second one is the 26th June 2024. Any corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any corrections, the official report of Wednesday, 26th June 2024 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. And the last one is dated 27th June 2024. Any corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any corrections, the official report of Thursday, 27th June 2024 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honorable members, it's important I acknowledge the presence of some visitors to the House. They are located properly at the visitors' gallery, as a public gallery. We have students from the Secretary DA Junior High School and Xavier Junior High School, together with Secretary Methodist Junior High School. And so we have a total of 126 students present at the public gallery, led by a head teacher by name Mr. James Moro. These schools are located in the Secretary Kumawu constituency. And with your kind permission, I want to warmly welcome them to the House. This is an improvised one, not the main chamber we use. And I hope you have at least some favor of the floor of Parliament. So you are warmly welcome, and please take advantage of your presence there here to learn a few things. Don't make it a one-day wonder, a 9-day wonder. Make sure you keep on coming so that you can learn and be better than us in the future. So you are warmly welcome. You may resume your seat. We now move to item 6, presentation of papers. Honorable members, at the commencement of public business, presentation of papers, we had the usual preceding conclave meeting, and leadership have guided me on what item to take and what not to take. And so, on the issue of the presentation of papers, the agreement is for us to take 1, the Road Traffic Amendment Regulations 2024, which from the chairperson of the committee. Actually, he's a man. The chairman of the committee, they are ready to lay the instrument. But because it's the instrument, it will be by the Minister for Transport. So, Minister for Transport, presentation of the Road Traffic Amendment Regulations 2024. Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, with respect, may I seek your leave for the business to be rather taken by the Minister for Tourism, with your leave.
Any objection? There be no objection. I call on the Minister for Tourism to lay this paper for and on behalf of the Minister for Transport.
Road Traffic Amendment Regulations 2024.
Honorable Member, let me refer it first. What motion is that? Honorable Members, the Road Traffic Amendment Regulations 2024 is accordingly referred to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee for consideration and report to the House. Yes, I can now hear you.
Speaker, I labored to catch your eye before you invited the minister to lay the important regulations on road traffic. Speaker, I was doing so for two reasons. One, I have a copy I have perused, even though it's now been laid. And Right Honorable Speaker have been taken off the list of those who can use motor siren. Mr. Speaker, in America, there is never what we call, you avoid a constitutional interregnum. Assuming there is a crisis in Ghana, that a president has to be sworn in, and the speaker has to be taken from somewhere to where he has to swear in the president. By this provision, Mr. Speaker, we are not personalizing it. It's not Honorable Alban Sumana Bagbin. It's the Speaker of Ghana's Parliament. Is not entitled to a motorcade or a police accompanied siren. In my view, Mr. Speaker, is wrong for the number 3 to be out of this privilege. The Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana is also out of the motor traffic regulation, not entitled to it. Mr. Speaker, you can keep ministers and members of parliament out. But this republic has 3 important personalities: the president, the vice president, the speaker, and the chief justice. 4 important personalities. And Mr. Speaker, it is not for this house to sit for a minister. Yes, MPs. There will even be times that, Mr. Speaker, leadership is here. When you have to take a major vote, you are looking for a member who is still in his constituency in Kaswa. You want his vote here because you want him to exercise a mandate. That is not abuse of a motorcade or a police siren. So, Mr. Speaker, mine was to arrest the laying of this instrument if I had my way, because the speaker, the lady chief justice, the chief justice of Ghana cannot be left out of this privilege or entitlement of having a police accompany them. What we need to guard against, which is what the public is saying, that the ministers, you are not doing the roads properly, there is congestion on the roads, and you want a free road to ride. That is what the public detests. But, Mr. Speaker, take the office of the speaker. And colleagues, when you talk of an ordinary day, talk of an extraordinary day. Assuming there is crisis in Ghana, the speaker has to be looked for. And Mr. Speaker, I hope I can share this experience with you. You recall when President Mills died. I still recall when then Ben Kumbo, Minister for Attorney General then, had to call on us how we could locate Mrs. Theodora Georgina Wood to get herself ready for Vice President then to be sworn in at 4:05 p.m. We're looking for the Chief Justice at the time. And when she's coming on her way, Mr. Speaker, I use the word constitutional interregnum because in America, the president is the only person who can authorize war. Same thing in Ghana here. You don't want a situation where for a minute there is a vacuum in our leadership. So, Mr. Speaker, to deny Right Honorable Speaker a motorcade or a siren and a minister, the minister who is laying this instrument, Honorable Member, you are a minister, you are doing this to the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if it was in Sri Lanka or India, I would have cited the minister for contempt of the Right Honorable Speaker, of his attempt to deny you of this defined privilege. So, Mr. Speaker, let's guard against our privileges and immunities as MPs. It is guaranteed additional rights because of the role we play. So to lay an instrument which denies the Speaker, the Chief Justice, I'm not too sure whether they have included the Vice President, but I'm very certain, Mr. Speaker, they've taken away Speaker, they've taken away Chief Justice. This is untenable, this is wrong, and that minister, warm up. I'll cite you for contempt. Because, Mr. Speaker, this Article 11, once 21 days passes, is law. There's nothing we can do to stop it. So I'm raising this objection for and on behalf of this august House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
First Deputy Speaker.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure what the former minority leader was driving at. Once the document is laid, it becomes the property of this House. If we cannot effect any change, we have the authority to annul it. So there's no need arresting its being laid, because if it's not laid, then Parliament's power over it does not arise. But once it has been laid and referred to the committee, if we want anything changed, we can then insist that either you add or subtract this or we annul it. For me, what is critical is that we stand together on matters that are important to us. If we have 2/3 majority, means we can annul it. If it's that important to us, it shouldn't be difficult to mobilize 2/3 of us to stand against or to promote what we want to be done. But in the meantime, I think it should be laid before it becomes the property of this House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Muntaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily I will agree with the first British Speaker, but I want to disagree with him this time. Because, Mr. Speaker, our practice in this House has always been that when we lay instruments, sometimes all of us go to sleep, only to wake up when they have matured already. And, Mr. Speaker, we all know how difficult sometimes to get 2/3 of members, even in the chamber, not alone to vote against an instrument. The easiest is to make sure that it's not laid, the proper thing get done before you lay it. Since we are unanimous with that, that's the best. Because once you lay it, the days start counting. If you miss the opportunity to arrest it before it matures, it becomes law. And Mr. Speaker, I can't imagine, maybe because of the privilege both myself and the former minority leader have, when we were serving in leadership, we knew the investment that Parliament has done to ensure that movement of Speaker from one point to another is cured. To now wake up to tell us that all those arrangements should be abolished or should be destroyed or should be withdrawn, I can't imagine that. So, Mr. Speaker, my view is that since we are not in disagreement, let's just get this paper properly done. And I really, even though it's been laid and you've referred it, we are the masters of our own rules. We have not gone far. We can simply get the minister to withdraw it now, go and get the right thing done, come back, and let us lay it. And then when the counting runs out and we even forget to bring the report and the regulation is going to be implemented, it will be implemented with the changes that the former Honorable Haruna Idisu mentioned. the Speaker and the Chief Justice, I mean, I can't imagine we asking them to put away all the investment that has been done in ensuring their movement around. So, Mr. Speaker, I want us to do it right by simply holding on to the referral, or we should resend the laying, get the document properly done before we do it. This can be done now. If the Minister for Transport is around, these few amendments with the ranking on the chair of subsidiary legislation can easily be done and be secured before we lay it. In the next 10 minutes, Mr. Speaker, that can easily be done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, yes, you will have the opportunity to speak. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you, Honorable Kennedy Japan did not catch your eye, but I would pray you that after I've had my bite, you give him an opportunity, or perhaps I saw him up.
I thought then he should speak before you.
That is exactly the point I wanted to
Yes, let me hear him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to address the House. There are certain things that we do as members.
Honorable Member, there is an issue
Yes.
that is on the floor.
Yes.
I mean, you want to contribute to that?
Yeah, I want to contribute.
But not to address the House.
Yeah, because I use the word address because we become coward and timid. And anything concerning Parliament, my colleagues are even afraid of the public to do the right thing.
Member, but that is not to address the House.
Well, I'm addressing them. This is my last time in Parliament, so I want them.
Honorable Member, we are masters.
I'm contributing.
We are masters of our own rules.
Yes.
If you actually want to address the House, you can request. I can create opportunity for you to address the House before you leave.
Under this circumstance, that is why I use the word. But, Mr. Speaker, I withdraw that and say that I want to make a contribution. My contribution is to caution my colleagues to be bold for once. Because we've been coward to the public. Anything concerning Parliament, we are afraid of the reaction of the public. And anything the government needs, they will first come to Parliament. For a whole speaker to say that he cannot even enjoy a motorcade. Who is Kennedy Japan, who went to Senate and enjoyed motorcade under President Kufuor's administration? We must be bold and speak the truth. Every money this country needs, it has to go through Parliament. But the society belittles us as if we are what? Servants to them. Although we are servants to them, we also have to enjoy rights. I want you guys to be bold. Members have to be bold. Look, in case there is an emergency, and you need members of Parliament from, say, Adenta to come here. So if he enjoys a motorcade, is it a sin? Mr. Speaker, I am speaking for Parliament, that it is very important institution, and therefore we should not be afraid also to demand opportunities for ourselves. So if they are doing this to the Speaker, then who are you? A member of Parliament sitting here. And you same people, or we same people, are going to approve this. And ministers, are you saying that ministers are also not important? I have no problem with judges, but they have police. And you tell us that parliamentarians are equivalent to high judges from the high court. You go to their house, you see their cars, they have police. How many of us have police in our cars? And you are waving your hands, you are afraid. Be bold and speak the truth. We also demand that we should be included. If not, rescind it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we are business. We are business. But this is a serious business. All the same, we have to limit the numbers. I will recognize two more. I see a senior member, Honorable Cletus Avoka, on his feet. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised about the turn of events this morning or this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, it is because of the challenges associated with some of the allies and the CIs that come under Article 11.7 of the Constitution that we innovated the practice of pre-laying. We innovated the practice of referring CIs and LIs to the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation so that they can look at it before it is late. The idea is to be able to circumvent some of these lacunas or gaps or technicalities that we are talking about this morning. If this instrument, if the leadership that met you in conclave this morning had averted their minds, then this instrument would have appreciated that the Speaker is excluded, the Chief Justice is excluded, and therefore there's a problem with the instrument. And therefore it would have been asked that the minister should lace. It would have been referred to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, and the minister will lay with the committee for them to do what we call pre-laying. We have adopted this practice not today, and I'm surprised that this eluded everyone at that level, and then it has to be laid, and then to go through these challenges. Having regard to what the Honorable First Deputy Speaker said, we know the challenges. Once it is late, it takes 21 days, and as some of my colleagues have averted our minds, we might not avert our minds to it, and by the time we know it has passed into law and embarrass all of us. I cannot imagine the Speaker being embarrassed or the CJ, the Chief Justice, being embarrassed. So I think with the greatest respect, Mr. Speaker, it is not too late. We should withdraw the instrument, refer it to the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation for them to have a pre-laying conference with the minister, the sector minister, before if these things are corrected, if the instrument is corrected, then it can be laid properly before the House, and then we can then take it. Thank you so much.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think that as a House, we have to be very consistent. We have to be very consistent. Members of Parliament cannot always run away when there's an issue regarding their welfare and turn around to demand same rights. And to say sadly, today, sadly, this is affecting you. When the instrument originally was laid, there was a pre-laying. Members of Parliament made inputs. At the end of the day, we left the learned Professor, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, in the cooler. Politicians are always in a rush to protect their heads when there's crisis. But sometimes we can have a collective fall. We know the challenges we face coming from home. We know going to the constituency. It isn't the case that a member of Parliament, by virtue of having a siren, will use it every day. And then we belittle ourselves. You are a politician, you cannot take public bashing to go and explain to the public. Even you have members of Parliament criticizing Article 71 benefit that they have benefited. We hear them on radio. And they continue to benefit. Mr. Speaker, we have to take this democracy a little bit more serious. Very soon, if we are not careful and the public out there lose hope in us, none of us will be left standing. We should know this. The political class is trivializing almost everything in this country. We need certain incentives to be annexed to the office. We need it. We should know this. These are bona fides. But if every day the partisanship, if I do this, I will get advantage. Look at yesterday, we were talking about Galamsey. Way back 2015, the government was worried about it and its effect on cocoa. We took steps. Today, Ken Asegbe, the former graphic managing director and his group, they were all over the place. City FM championed the anti-Galamsey agenda. As a collective, we didn't support this. Today, Central Region does no water, and we'll do politics with it. Those who have enriched themselves or who have the money, and they have their gold, they have their fat bank accounts. You will be sick, and you use that money to cure your cancer, and it may not be enough. You will die and go. What about the poor people out there? Mr. Speaker, I've been disturbed lately about the way we approach our politics as a country. And we must understand that the national interest being upheld would not in any way diminish our chances at winning or sustaining power either way. So let us get the facts right. Mr. Speaker, I'm just seeing this. I cannot encourage the minister to proceed with the laying of this instrument, which instrument would mean that Mr. Speaker is not even entitled to some privileges. Mr. Speaker, let us be careful. But again, the government is also in a tight corner. When this issue occurred, it was like as if the Akufo-Addo government, the man there was attacked personally. And we know those who were championing it and making it a partisan matter. So now government brings the instrument as a result of what the public said, and we are again here saying that, oh no, we have to have a second look at it. People were running away. People were running away. Mr. Speaker, please. Yes, I have to veer off because things are getting out of hand, and we should know this as a political class. They are really getting out of hand. Our excessive partisanship is affecting our country. We should know and say it right and here. Mr. Speaker, I think the minister has heard us. He can take it back, and we must apologize to Dr. Dominic Ayeni for not supporting him. He was the chair of the subsidiary legislation. We allowed him to take all the bashing as if he was the sole person who encouraged the amendment. Meanwhile, it was a collective desire of the House for those amendments to be done. Honorable Minister, it's my humble prayer to you that in view of the issues that have come up, we have a second look at this regulation to include MPs, an essential public of I'm late. Mr. Speaker, that we need MPs and key appointees whose work will require the use of certain privileges to be included. The fact that they will be listed does not mean every day they are going to have it in use. Mr. Speaker, knowing that the minister does not have the capacity, perhaps, to initiate an action I want him to initiate, I shall, with all I have said, and fortified by same, move this house for this paper that has been laid to be rescinded. And I expect Honorable Harun Edrisu, the former minority leader, to second this motion of rescission. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I cannot prevent the majority leader from attempting to move a motion like this. But I am in charge here, and I haven't given him any such permission or authority to do so. Honorable members, the paper has been laid, and rightly referred to the appropriate committee for consideration and report to the House. This paper is Road Traffic Amendment Regulations. I don't have before me the regulations themselves. What we have is the amendment regulations. I don't have before me any indication that this is to replace the substantive regulations. And so I don't know the content of that substantive regulations. I agree with members that we press the self-destruct button, this House. And because of the weakness of this House, the democracy in Ghana is very weak. And that is how come we are where we are today. As far back as 1995, I keep on referring you to this because I don't want to use the word be bold. But as far back as 1995, I was able to lead the House to reject an instrument. We got the over 2/3 majority to reject an instrument. That was the first parliament that you people were referring to as a rubber stamp parliament. But we were able to do so. And I was then a member of the government of the day. But I was chair of the Statutory Legislation Committee after Honorable Cletus Avoka. He was then made Deputy Minister of State. We rejected it. And that's the parliament that you refer to as one-party parliament. Today, when you are talking about mature democracy, spineless parliament, spineless leadership matters. You must be prepared to take responsibility and defend your positions. If the people knew like you, they wouldn't have elected you to lead them. So they expect you to lead them and be able to persuade them that you are doing so in their interest. Me sitting here, I'm just a passing wind. Like any other person who will come and sit as speaker. It's not about the personality. It's about the responsibilities that that position goes with, not the person. All what we know is about military regimes. The person that matters in this country is president, nothing else. And you sometimes call on president to do the impossible, things that our constitution don't allow them to do. That is the problem we have. And you have to lead. There are only 2 people elected on the 7th of December any election year. The president and the member of parliament. And the 2 of you are to lead the people to make their conditions better. Then you allow yourselves to be reduced to nothingness because you are afraid of responsibilities. I am not. When this matter came up, it was a shock to me because we were said to have amended the regulations. And my reaction was that Parliament could not amend a regulation. That is when they took it up. I was also bashed. And the chairman, current chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Honorable Dr. Dominica Yine, had to even defend me on air. Because I didn't know anything about it. Because at that time, the paper was not before the House. So I didn't know. But I was drawing the attention to the fact that Parliament could not have amended because we don't have that power under the Constitution. Now, timorous souls, they went back and look at what they are bringing to you. These hairs that you have, if you are using the hairs properly, they will always be on top. It's when you are using it wrongly that they will cut it off. Please, let's stand for what is right and do what is right. Let's have the guts. The committee should go through it because there may be other matters apart from just this one that needs reconsideration. So let's allow the committee to go and look at it. And if we all agree that that is not the right thing to do, they will come with a report for us to do what? To annul it. And we should be able to get the 2/3. Why should Parliament go to sleep and the instrument will slip through? That is not right. But the other part is that if you go through the instrument, members, the public, and other persons are not denied the facility of a motorcade. It's available to be used. If it becomes necessary, you ask for it. But what they are talking about is to allow members to have in their vehicles those facilities for them to use motu. And sometimes in your constituencies, you are going to your girlfriend's house and you are using motorcade. I listened to the debate. I listened to the debate. But on official matters, the circumstances that refer to, please. So we need to go through the instrument to make sure that we make a law that can take into consideration all these issues. That is what I expect you to do. If it falls short of it, present a report for us to annul it. And this House should not run away from annulling the report, the bill. So I agree with the First Deputy Speaker that for now, it's properly laid, it's referred to a committee. The committee should consider it, and when it becomes necessary, as Honorable Kennedy Japan has stated, be bold and do what is right. That is what I can say. The police is available. The facilities are available for all Ghanaians when necessary. There are special considerations for some office holders. I agree with you. But let's don't just withdraw the instrument. Let's do the proper thing. Let's consider it in its entirety. There are other areas you can identify apart from this. Then you draw the attention of the House, and then the proper thing will be done at the end of the day. So I will reiterate the referral to the committee to consider and report to the House. Please, let's go by that. But let me take this opportunity to appeal to the people who represent Ghanaians that we have nothing doing apart from serving them on a daily basis. Whatever profession you were in, whatever business you were doing, once you are elected member of parliament, you have nothing apart from serving the people day in and day out. And that is why at the end of the day, the former members of parliament you see are poorer than they came in. Please, it's only when we draw the attention of our people to this that they really start thinking. If not because of the trappings of the office, When they see you in office and you are working, they think that there is manna there that you are enjoying. But out of office, you are like fish out of water. And we've seen it. We should tell the people the truth. Now, all the young people say, to be rich, you enter politics. How many former members of parliament are rich in this country? Let's continue to dialogue with our people. Let's talk to them. I don't need a motorcade after this office. I don't. I want a peaceful life to enjoy my plenty years till I'm 100. Yes, I don't need it. But please, let's do the proper thing. Let's report rightly. Let's take the decision. The people will follow. But if we decide to crash with them, the consequences are not what we are looking for as a nation. I think we need to take time to persuade them to understand the situation than to get on a head-on collusion, which is what you are opting for. And I disagree with that. Let's go to a proper thing. And when we are able to carry them along with us, they will support our leadership as the right one. So with this, committee, you are so directed. May we now move on to the next item. Conclave of leadership and the Speaker agreed that an order paper addendum be prepared because what you have in the original order paper will not be taken. And so an order paper addendum 2 is now being distributed, and those are the issues that will be considered today. There are just a few items. Your leaders, I must say, and I must commend them for rightly agreeing to disagree. There were a number of the issues they took and debated and thought that in the national interest, some of those issues were not ripe for today. And so they've been taking off the order paper. And this new order paper has been prepared, order paper addendum 2. And so that is what is being distributed, and that is what we'll go along with. We have done the presentation of instruments, Road Traffic Amendment Regulation 2024. There are still more for us to present. But I see the Majority Chief Whip on his feet. I don't know whether I'm saying something different from what he wants to say. Yes, please.
Speaker, you are right. You are right. Except to say that if it pleases you, shall we proceed to item 9? And Speaker, as you rightly observed, that we had extensive discussion on it. So it is advertised here as a business to be taken by the chair of the committee. But based on, Speaker, your recent referral and the discussion we had at conclave, I'll seek your leave for the Deputy Whip, who is a member of the Energy Committee, the Finance Committee, to start his comment, and then the ranking member will be allowed to also speak to it. Then, Speaker, you will take a decision so that we can proceed as was agreed. Prior agreed, we proceed to take item 10, which is a resolution.
Honorable members, we are being asked to take a substantive motion. I wanted us to do presentation of papers. That's the item we're on first, before going to the substantive motion. But I'm not a whip. And maybe the whip has some more information I don't have. So he wants us to take the substantive motion first, which is item 9. Item
Speaker, that can be found in the original of the paper. It's not in the agenda.
Yes, I see it, but the copy of the original order paper with me is not in order. And that's why I have to change it. Yes. Honorable members, at page 4 of the original order paper, we have a motion to be moved by the chairman of the committee, that is the Finance Committee. And members recall that yesterday this matter came up, the subject matter of the motion came up. We had some discussion on it, and the understanding of the House was that in that particular situation, we should use a procedure of referring the thing back to the committee and for the committee to report to the House. I use the term not earlier than today, and they have done so today. And so we'll call on the committee to tell us what they have done by reporting to us, and then we take it up from there. So we need the committee chair or a representative to lead us in this direction. Yes, Deputy Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as the Majority Chief Whip made an application to you for me to do so since the chairman is unavailable, absent. Mr. Speaker, as directed by you, your committee on finance met on the subject matter, and we deliberated on the issues that are of concern to the issue in specific. And Mr. Speaker, that this Honorable House adopt the report of the Finance Committee on the financing agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and the International Development Association, IDA, of the World Bank Group for an amount of $250 million for the Ghana Energy Sector Recovery Program. Mr. Speaker, the committee met and we deliberated on the issues based on the referral, and we have a consensus agreement based on the further deliberation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Any seconder? Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion number 9 on today's order paper. And in doing so, Mr. Speaker, I would like to report to the House that the committee met and the ministry explained to us that the original agreement that was brought to this House did not contain $90 million for consultancy. And that by the nature of the design of the project, there wasn't project management as a component of the project. As a result, some of those expenditures were captured as goods and services, which was lumped with the supply of prepaid meters. And that was wrongly misunderstood as constituting $90 million for the supply for consultancy. We have since been provided with the information, and explanation has been offered. We have engaged our honorable colleague, Honorable Muntaka, who had seen the 90 million and had raised concerns about it, and he's since been convinced that there was indeed no $90 million for consultancy. On the basis of that, we support our earlier decision on the matter. I so submit.
Honorable members, with your kind indulgence, to make assurance double sure, since Honorable Muntaka is available, I want to let us hear him, and then I could proceed to now put the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, rightly so, as the ranking and chair said, they provided me with the detailed breakdown of how the 94 million got lumped up. And Mr. Speaker, yes, I'm hoping and praying that the breakdown that has been provided will be used as a guide and be part of what we are proving, so that it's not just a sheet that has been provided to warrant approval, only to go back to doing something different. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'm convinced that it's not all the money that's going to be used for consultancy. But like I said yesterday, yes, I still believe that the amount of money of about $10 million US, which is about 160 million Ghana cedis as consultancy, is still on the high, and the committee should keep an eye closely. They convinced me further by saying that the drawdowns are such that you have to present an activity, and after you execute the activity excellently before the next batch of money is released. I hope that the Committee on Finance and Mines and Energy will keep a close eye and take their oversight on this 250 million very seriously, so that we'll make sure that we maximize the benefit for which the loan was contracted. With this, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge members to support the approval for the 250 million. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise in support of the motion. This 250 million IDA loan, Right Honourable Speaker, is intended to strengthen specifically the distribution sector, and has been described in the project. It is to ensure a stable, affordable, and competitively priced power sector. The project has been divided into two, as has been described. 151 million will be used for what they call program for results, and then investment project financing is the second part, which is 108 million. Honourable Speaker, if you look at Ghana's energy sector map, we've been focusing a lot on generation capacity. But what is now our challenge is the distribution sector. Keenly to make sure that the key player in the value chain that must bring the money to make the energy sector viable, mainly ECG and NEDCO, are strengthened to be able to perform that important duty. Because without the inflows, we are going to be having challenges. We hear a lot about people talking about take or pay. Madam Speaker, the reason is simple. If I'm coming to invest to build a power plant, I'll look at the energy sector and look at who is bringing the money. And it's CCG, it's NEDCO. If those distribution players are indebted, no investor in his right conscience will invest in our energy sector. And that is why it is critical that we invest. And so to the extent that huge part of this money will deal with the distribution sector, this is very important. But to say that all those issues that were raised, I'm happy has been addressed. But Madam Speaker, we must go back and look at what we've done in the past. We recalled under President John Dramani Mahama, who brought 500 million MCC financing. After Millennium Challenge Corporation money of 500 million. Technically, that money was free money. You remember almost 200 million was supposed to be invested in the distribution sector. And we're supposed to strengthen distribution through private sector-led effort. Everybody here recalls PDS. In an attempt by a few people to make money, they failed to follow the right processes. A scandalous PDS emerged, and the Americans angrily took $200 million away. Today we are here borrowing the same $250 million as a loan that the people of Ghana has to pay for it. Let me stand here and say that the people of Ghana must hold the MPP responsible for that 200 million. It is unconscionable that they give you 200 million because of greed. You mess it up, they take the money away, and now you go for a loan to come and do exactly what you were going to use that free money for. That is the reality of what we are doing today. It is painful, even though it's important, but the record must be very clear that there was no reason why the Americans, they've never taken any MCC loan from any African country. Except Ghana. That speaks volumes about how low we have descended. Madam Speaker, sadly, the people of Ghana must bear the brunt, as with other things. And so, to conclude, to say that this 250 million is important, especially because you look at the 151 is achievement of distribution linked indicators. That is, the money is going to go to specific areas, and you have to perform those areas, perform them before the other funds are released. And I hope that Parliament will ensure, the Energy Committee working with the ministry will ensure a judicious implementation of this facility, because the people of Ghana are going to pay for it. The energy sector is critical. The energy sector is at its needs. And let me say this again. The NDC government, having brought Ghana from the gas era, resolve our fuel issues in the energy sector. We have done that. The distribution of LPG lines that was all over the country, we took it away. We infused over 1,000 megawatts. And then people are making argument, oh, they didn't do anything. Exactly what have you done in the last 8 years in the energy sector? I am predicting it here because of your inability or your failure to address critical problems in the energy sector. President John Mahama will have to come and address them.
Leader, may you
I'm concluding, but I'm very sad that today 200 million that was given to us was taken away from us because of corruption, and now we have gone to borrow money to do exactly what that 200 million was intended to do. Even though it's important, we have to do it. It's sad, and I have to emphasize that. But to say that this 250 million is going to go to a critical distribution sector to strengthen ECG and to make sure that our losses are reduced. And in that sense, we must support it. I thank you.
Honorable members, I put the question. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the cooperation so far. Mr. Speaker, it's just important that I accept the criticisms of my respected colleague, the Deputy Minority Leader, the views expressed. Of course, we are always at liberty to agree and disagree. However, I just want to state for the records that if the World Bank, the way we work with them, if they know that there was any scandal or corruption-related matter relating to ECG, Mr. Speaker, there is no way the World Bank would advance this facility. It is not supported by fact to say that some few people were involved in scandal and there was corruption. I just need to put those facts across. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I would want to thank you for the opportunity and urge members to support the facility.
Honorable members, I put the question. Those in favor of the adoption of the report, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The report is accordingly adopted by the House. We move on to item 10, which deals with the resolution and should be moved by the Minister for Finance. That's a consequential resolution. Yes.
May I seek your leave for it to be taken by the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry? Honorable Abna Osei
Yes.
Asare. With your leave.
Minister of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the resolution captured as item 10 on pages 4 and 5 of today's order paper be adopted now. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Motion for resolution moved. The seconder. Yes, ranking member. Is that ranking member? Yes.
Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, I second the resolution.
Motion for the adoption of the resolution moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. Honorable members, being a consequential resolution, I put the question. Those in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The resolution has been accordingly adopted, and this House has approved an amount of 250 million for the Ghana Energy Sector Recovery Program. Honorable members, I want to reiterate that most of the items on the order paper will not be taken, and so all the items dealing with tax waivers, all will not be taken. Also, the financial agreement on the Ghana Financial Sector Program would also not be taken. What we have, as I see on the order paper addendum 2, some will be taken. But on the original order paper, we agreed that we should also take and adopt the report that has already been presented and debated by the House on the Ada Songo Lagoon salt mining program. My understanding was that we agreed to take that one too. Yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there were issues with the report, and my understanding was not to adopt the report, but to make a further referral for the other committees to complete the work. Mr. Speaker, my understanding was that during the debate, it came to the fore that apparently aspects of the consideration did not find its way in the report. And so members expressed concerns and felt that the report did not actually reflect what was actually conducted. Mr. Speaker, we debated it extensively, and there were some further work we have to do. So I'm not aware that we are adopting the report in its current shape, but I'm aware that we are going to do further referral so that this matter can, the other committees can continue their work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is rather unfortunate that the leader of the Honorable Atuforsen is saying that there are some residual matters to be considered. The mic is not. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it's rather unfortunate that Honorable Atuforsen is intimating that there are some residual matters to be considered by the committee. There are none. As a matter of fact, people express their views. The mic is on. Yes. Right, Honorable Speaker, with the greatest of respect to Honorable Atuforsen, the report hasn't gotten any residual matters to be considered at all. And as is the custom of this House, when a report is presented and people have comments and they have views, those comments and views do not overthrow the report. And after the conclusion of the matter, Right Honorable Speaker said, well, you have to defer the question. But even as we are talking now, Electrochem has ceded a further 1,000 acres to the indigenes, which is to say that without the adoption of the report, they are complying with the terms of the report. So we do not see any short change that anybody has suffered. And we shouldn't try and also create an impression that here we are, we don't have anything against the report. Nevertheless, let us event some issues which are outstanding. Honorable Speaker, I do not want to be funny or dubious about this matter. There is no any outstanding issue to be determined by the committee. And if somebody is dissatisfied with the matter, that dissatisfaction is not enough, to overthrow the report with the greatest of respect. And this is where we are. And what is on the other paper is clear, that a question should be put. But if people have any other issues, I'm a total loss as to what the issues are. It is just probably maybe some political challenges.
but they don't undermine the report at all. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy Parliament is still working on the Songo Lagoon issue. Mr. Speaker, as we are working on it and we have not concluded on anything, we should call Electrochem to stop the disturbances in the constituency. As I'm speaking to you this morning, they have sent soldiers, bulldozers to Aminapa, mid-year Aminapa. And the people there called this morning crying because of what is happening today in mid-year Aminapa. So we are pleading with Electrochem to hold its peace so that we can save our shrines, cemeteries, some of the villages, so that we can define exactly what is to do in the area, not to inconvenience anybody. Those shrines are our traditional shrines.
Just a minute.
Yomo, where he's now with the bulldozer to scatter everything there, has been there before all of us were born. So they should define exactly what he's supposed to do in Ada so that he should stop the inconveniences. Mr. Speaker, Ada is in our hands. Both Ada and Sege is in our hands. Whatever we would do here is what will save the people so that they can also live happily. We love investors, but not to take over and then behave as if he is rather going to consider us to give us a portion of land that belongs to us. Mr. Speaker, I know with you in the chair, the right thing will be done. All the committees that these things will be referred to should take the people into consideration and work and do diligence to the people of Ada. Mr. Speaker, we are in your hands, and we know you will save Ada. Thank you.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker. Okay, Speaker, if it pleases you, may I yield to the Honorable Katie Hamo, after which you grant me some space.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy I got in just at the nick of time to hear this debate on the Songo Lagoon matter and Petrochem issue. Mr. Speaker, I pray that in the name of Almighty God, we allow Petrochem for once to develop this massive potential of the area and for the benefit of the people and for the benefit of the whole republic. Mr. Speaker, for the time that I have known the story of this area, and that is when, Mr. Speaker, you yourself were at the university. Mr. Speaker, when you were there and who were your juniors, when Mr. Tatutikata was our lecturer, and Mr. Speaker, this matter consistently came up, and matter of Songo Lagoon, the committees, the various committees that were set up by various governments to investigate the Songo Lagoon, Mr. Speaker, till the time that it became impossible, Mr. Speaker, to develop the area. We are hearing this matter about girls who we are told are not feeling comfortable. Mr. Speaker, we have all the respect for traditional beliefs and all the traditional religions and all of that. 3 days ago, Mr. Speaker, I heard that the girls on the certain road in, I think, around the Amasama area, the girls have traveled, so we should wait for the girls to arrive before we develop, we continue with the construction of that particular segment of the road. Mr. Speaker, we understand if there is an issue with the girls around the area, you should please talk to the traditional leaders to placate them. Mr. Speaker, the Songo Lagoon area has to be developed. The intransigence of some of the inhabitants and some of the indigents, some of the people around, Mr. Speaker, has caused this country so much. The white stuff over there, Mr. Speaker, is next to the black gold and the gold itself. Mr. Speaker, it's such an enormous deposit of natural resource that, I mean, the whole world needs the resource from Ghana. What people don't seem to appreciate, Mr. Speaker, is this. The Songo area, it's about the only area in the whole of West Africa that is gifted to the extent that it has the deposit of salt that we have. Everybody thinks that because we are all around the Gulf of Guinea area, the West Coast area, every segment of the coast has the potential to develop salt. Mr. Speaker, it's false. It doesn't work like that. God, in his own wisdom, decided that we may all be around the coast, but not every segment of the area will be so endowed. It is only the Songo area, Mr. Speaker, that is so endowed, and the whole of Africa is looking up to Ghana to develop it. Mr. Speaker, my understanding is that the potential for the place is such that we can export millions, and I'm talking about dollars, billions, not millions, dollars. And Nigeria is looking up to the place, Brazil, and all these areas, Mr. Speaker, are looking up to Songo to function so they can export and expand the petrochemical industry of the rest of Africa. As it is, Mr. Speaker, Ghana, all the West African countries are, Mr. Speaker, importing salt from the countries that I've mentioned. Salt is so crucial in the petrochemicals industry of the world that Ghana is in a position, Mr. Speaker, to contribute, this time not a widow's mite, to contribute massively because of Songo area. Mr. Speaker, recently the president and his trade minister went to the area to inaugurate that massive investment that is there in the name of the petrochem industry. There are agitations over there. In fact, we hear that there have even been loss of lives and all of that. Mr. Speaker, we pray that our colleagues accept that it is such a potential, Mr. Speaker, for employment, for income, for name them, for them as indigents, as constituents, as a part of the country, and ultimately, Mr. Speaker, for the whole of the country. Imagine the billions that we're going to obtain through the company, Mr. Speaker, into the coffers of the country. Recently, Mr. Speaker, but for the attitude of some of my colleagues, I was planning, Mr. Speaker, to put, restrictions on importation of stuff, but to encourage export. This is one commodity that Ghana has, thanks to the Almighty God, Ghana has in abundance that we intend to export. And we are told that the man cannot continue. The infighting is started again. Mr. Speaker, we will be doing ourselves no good if this particular investment of this company, Mr. Speaker, is not allowed to prosper. We plead with the people of Songo area. We plead with the MPs. Not only my colleague who just spoke, but all the MPs around the area. Let the petrochemical industry for once develop. Let Songo area for once develop. Let us develop the salt industry of that area to the glory of Ghana, to the glory, in fact, to the glory glory of your own area and the glory of Ghana, and of course to the glory of Africa and the world. We need the salt from that area. Help us. Don't undermine the process, the progress of this company. They have invested so much. We should not allow the gods to impede the progress that the company is making. If there is anything, Mr. Speaker, I plead that we sit down and settle this matter amicably and take the gods out of this argument. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I don't know whether you want us to reopen the debate on this matter. What was left at the end of the debate was for me to give some directives after the adoption of the report. Serious concerns were raised, and the House had the understanding there were other areas that were to be reconsidered. And so I personally spoke and said I will give directives for further engagement by the appropriate committees. Because this is not an event, it's a process. Both the indigenes and the investors are interested in what is happening in the area. They know the value of the resource, but their interests will have to be protected. For a long time, there's been a dispute, many years, and the resort to Parliament to assist them to resolve that dispute cannot be done in a day. And so I said I'll give directives for other committees to also intervene. There were calls for us to go the NCC to involve, to educate the people about how these things are done and the benefits to them and the country. But there were also calls about this traditional and customary and religious or spiritual preservation of cemeteries and the rest. There were also calls about security issues and also some livelihood issues. And so I said I was going to give some directives as to how Parliament should continue to engage with the parties. That is what was left. It was not reopen the debate. Please, I'm ready with the directives, and it's quite a comprehensive one I want to do, because I'm very concerned about it myself. But if you want to have a bite, why not? I'll allow you. Can I then go to this side before I come back? Okay. When Neil Antivadopoy is an interested party in this matter, may we listen to your brother Muntaka first? Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
But let's make it snappy so that we can...
Mr. Speaker, I'll try to make it very snappy. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw all of us attention to a very important thing and ask ourselves, what are we really doing? Mr. Speaker, this company had an agreement that was brought to this house. This house rectified with the terms and conditions that the company is currently operating there. Now, as a result of its operation, there were some disturbances. That led to a colleague made a statement. And then, Mr. Speaker, in your good wisdom, you directed that, can a committee go and look at those grievances? But, Mr. Speaker, with the greater respect, we could take the concerns on board, but it doesn't or cannot nullify the ratification. Because the ratification is the one that is legally bound. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of the committee. And Mr. Speaker, we took a lot of pain to meet almost every group that mattered. Let's look at the concern I have, and I want to plead with all of us that look, let's be careful about the things that we do and forget that we have a constitution and we have laws that govern what we are doing. We can all choose to play to emotions, but it will never develop this country. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I'm saying this is this. I have a house in Kumasi. I have a house in Accra here. If for any reason, one day, gold is found in my house, that gold is no longer mine. That is the constitution that all of us have subscribed to. That immediately the gold is found, even though that house is mine, I lose the right to extract that gold. That gold is a mineral and it's invested in only the president. And it can only be exploited when that is brought to Parliament and Parliament look at the conditions and agree that it can be exploited under this condition. Mr. Speaker, when we met our citizens, our brothers and sisters from the area, I took pain to let them appreciate that the salt that they've seen there, because of what all of us have agreed as a country, is no longer as if the salt is their personal property. The salt now belongs to all of us as a country. That is why you have Obuasi Gold Mine. You have Yineyini Bauxite. You have other deposits in Kenya and other areas. If people in those areas all rise up and say that, no, this gold that you find here, because it is Obuasi, it is only for Asantehene, will be finished as a country. And we pleaded with them. Every single concern, Mr. Speaker, that they raise, check into the report. I'm worried that a lot of people do not read the report in full. Because, Mr. Speaker, when we met the company, we said that yes, when the ratification came to this house, we were expecting that maybe our colleagues in that area would have given us some more insight that could have helped us in the ratification. Even though that did not happen, one, we were pleading with them. They should help protect the cemetery. They agreed that they would do it. We said that there were some sacred areas. They should help even develop it. The company agreed that they would do it. We know that you have the right, just like Newmont, Bogoso, Goldfield, just like Anglogo Asante. But because the people were used to using this salt, can you help in trying to create an area where they can also expose so that they are not worse off? The company agreed. Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with my colleagues. Let's not use, because that's exactly what you said some few minutes earlier. We are leaders. We are not followers. And in leading, sometimes you have to take a very difficult decision to explain to your people that, look, because of this thing that's happening, that is what has happened in Obuasi, that is what is happening in Kenya, that is what is happening in Bogoso, that is what is happening in Takwa. So, Adan cannot be an exclusion. Because if we do that, we'll be running our country into a chaos. But because of the challenges that you are having, these are the measures that we can put to assist you so that you don't get worse off. And Mr. Speaker, if you see the elaborate things that the company is willing to do to support the livelihood of the indigenes, Mr. Speaker, it is proven, and we've checked, many of them who were already there are better off under this arrangement than when they were doing the galamsey. But Mr. Speaker, the challenge we are having is that there were some people who decided to turn themselves into kingpins, galamseyers. And for them, Mr. Speaker, it is difficult to wake them, because if somebody is pretending to sleep, you cannot easily wake somebody who is pretending to sleep. And I will take this opportunity to quote what former Vice President of America said, Mr. Speaker, that how can they understand when their source of livelihood depend on not understanding? People were there looting their salt and destroying the place, and they were making a lot of millions out of it. How do you think that you can explain and convince them that now this is for the whole country, including you, and the rest of us are going to benefit from it? They will resist. And in doing that, they want to do vandalism. They want to use distraction. And that's the worry. But Mr. Speaker, if you look at the report, I want to plead with my colleagues, the two MPs, the MP for the Honorable Doyo and Honorable Christian Otote. Please team up with the company and get the kings, mediate between them. Because the things that we put for the company to assist the entities, and they've agreed, I want to believe, with dialogue, we'll be able to even do more. But we cannot stop them from operating because we've already rectified. As a country, as a parliament, we already rectified the thing. And we gave them the go-ahead to invest. So you cannot, in one hand, give the right to a company to go and invest. And in the another hand, you are saying that because there's noise, please pull back. It doesn't work out that way. You only hope to see what you can do to stabilize the situation. So I want to plead with my colleagues that, look, even this report, I ask myself, whether adopted or not adopted, how does it affect the ratification? It doesn't affect the ratification in any way. But adopting it will mean the recommendation the committee made will be a basis to see how we can engage the company so that the company can help. So, Mr. Speaker, without laboring this, I was a member of the committee, and I want to say, I know the importance of safeguarding the citizens around the project. And we should also remember, it is not for eternity. Parliament ratified the agreement, giving it a duration. After those durations, they have to come back for ratification again. And that gives us another opportunity to look at how they've been operating during the period of the release. And if there's the need to make amendments, Parliament just get the opportunity to incorporate those new amendments. But once you've given somebody the rectified document to go and implement, how do you hold that person? Let's be careful about investment drive and projects that we bring into our country. And when there are challenges upon a little agitation, we want to throw the company under the bus. We need to provide leadership. And in providing leadership, we need to have in mind that there's constitution that we have to adhere to. There are laws that govern what we are doing, and we should be able to explain that to people. So long as we keep telling the people that, oh, don't worry, we are going to get it reversed, we are going to get it reversed, you are simply agitating them. But believe me, with a greater respect, with the ratification that Parliament has done, people sometimes say, oh, if another government comes, you can do it. I've been in this house long enough to tell you that when something is ratified by Parliament, nobody can change it unless you bring it back to Parliament. And we know how difficult that is. So I want to plead that let's try and dialogue and get the people benefit as much as possible. And even before the implementation, the report being adopted, the company has already gone ahead to start, implementing some of the report. I want this House to adopt this report, and then we keep an eye. Let the committee keep an eye on some of the challenges, and Mr. Speaker, like you rightly said, this is not a one-day thing that you can just solve all of it at a go. The project has just started. It has a huge dream for all of us as people. It is not only about people in Ada or Greater Accra. It's about all of us. It is about this country. And you cannot pretend as a leader who knows what is right to say that you are going to play to the gallery because some small section of people are not happy. You find a way of explaining to them and make them appreciate the dream that goes with it and how it can benefit all of us. And Mr. Speaker, I can assure you, if the recommendation that we have put together with what the company is doing is followed step by step, in the long run, the people of Ada are going to be the larger beneficiaries, and they'll be far better off than the current arrangement that is there. And that should be the concern. But if somebody tells you that because I'm the landowner, give me everything, that's not how our constitution has structured it. And that's why I gave the example of even my own house. If I find a mineral there, that mineral is no longer mine. It's for the state, and it's only the state that can determine how it will be exploited. So with this comment, Mr. Speaker, I will hope that you give the direction that will help us to support businesses that are doing the right thing. Where we have rectified, if we didn't have a rectification, Mr. Speaker, I'll be the first to champion anything that will stop the government from doing what they are doing. But once you rectify something, and based on your rectification, people go to source for money, and they are not investing, and you turn around again, the same parliament that has given them the right to invest will turn around again and say that don't do this, don't do that. What are you doing to your country? You are not the only country on the planet. You are not the only, country that has resources. You'll be making your country a destination that people will not want to invest. And I don't think that's what we want to do. So, Mr. Speaker, with this, I want us to take emotions out of this and look at the rationality of what we have done. The ratification is already done. The committee has made a lot of recommendations that could be helpful. And the company has even agreed that even though this is not part of the ratification, we are willing to assist. Let's capitalize on that and be able to make progress. With this, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity of contributing.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I can say that my good friend, Jonabu Muntaka, ushered me into whip or whipping. I've always respected him for his sense of patriotism and how strongly he has often stood for the right thing and the welfare of the Ghanaian people and, of course, Parliament as a whole. But today, my respect to him has gone up, 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 up. And I have to say it. I listed all my points, and most of the points I listed, he spoke to it. So let me start off with the legal imperatives. This is a law-making chamber. Whichever way you view it, that is our constitutional mandate. We make laws. It's well defined by our constitution. To the extent that the investor has come to this house and gotten its investment or the terms ratified by this house, we have to be careful. And we must navigate within the provisions of our constitution. That one is so basic that it's not debatable. Speaker, the last time the Honorable Atacha presented a report, for the past 2 months, personally, I have been to Songo and I have been investigating this said company. Facts, it's the biggest salt investment in the whole of West Africa. It's the biggest. Now, this investor is one of our own. He's a Ghanaian, a full-blooded Ghanaian. Apart from that, he also hails from Songo, that vicinity. That is where he comes from. Speaker, many big investors have been to this place and they've abandoned the place. The Dangotes and all the big investors you can name in Africa, they've been there. They couldn't succeed. They left. Packed bag and baggage and left. It took one of our own. A Ghanaian, to go through all difficulties and to be where the company, to move the company to where it is now. Now, we cannot push away the concerns of the minority. Because my investigation proved to me that more than 90% of the chiefs, the traditional leaders, are in support of this investment. I'm telling you, more than 90% of the traditional leadership of Songo are in support of this investment. We are not wishing away the concerns of so-called minority. Some of the citizens who are raising issues, and the issues are raising are to the extent that they also want to have access to the resource. They also want to have access to the resource. Read the report well. The Honorable Atacha's report, read it well. Probably the Honorable Atacha may have to make more copies of his report to members on the other side who doesn't seem to be in support. Get a copy of this report. And you will be amazed at the recommendation. And in fact, interestingly, many of the recommendations are already being enforced work in progress. They're already being enforced. So, Speaker, we don't need to belabor the point. I can understand the Member of Parliament and colleagues who hail from that area. You are concerned about welfare issues, some of the indigents who also want to have access to the resource. This is a genuine concern. But don't forget that the investor has a legal mandate. And, Speaker, Electrochem has gone to the extent of making available some of the land available to some of the citizens to also invest. Invest there and also benefit from them. You can check the report. I don't lie. Speak to the microphone. I'll respond to you. Speaker, restoration of the Songo itself for many years, protracted conflict for over 50 years. Nobody went to their aid. It took Electrochem to go there and take all these risks and invest such huge amount of money. We cannot just discount this investment. So, Speaker, most of the points I was going to raise, the Honorable Muntaka has raised them. What the Member of Parliament and colleagues who are concerned about this investment, probably because of the proximity of their constituency to the area, you should engage Electrochem. Engage Electrochem so that the other concerns, other dissenting views that are coming up can be dealt with. But to say that the investor should be stopped, we don't have, first of all, we don't have the mandates. We have no legal basis to stop them. If there are issues that are genuinely of concern to the people, let's raise them. Let's raise this issue and ensure that they are resolved. Speaker, let me conclude on the benefit of salt. You can just take your phone, Google the benefit of salt, and the benefits, the other ancillary benefit that can accrue from this investment. I plead with colleagues in the name of God. I plead. This is the biggest salt investment in the whole of West Africa. We cannot just wish it away. For once, let's support one of our own. I'm sure if it had been somebody else who is not a Ghanaian, probably, will be speaking good of this investment. This is one of our own. Let's support Electrochem. And I have no doubt that the directive, the consequential directive that the Speaker will give eventually will be a one that will help to transform the company, to sustain the company and not to destroy it, and also ensure that there is mutual benefit, both to the citizens of Songo and, of course, the company has a legal mandate to invest there. Speaker, I want to thank you, personally want to thank you for the wisdom you have shepherded this whole matter up to this point, and particularly thank the Honorable Atachi and the committee, the entire committee, and the leadership of the committee for the trouble they've taken to go through all this investigation, and also the first deputy who presided when the matter came up. Thank you all for the support, and finally urge my colleagues on the other side to support the adoption of this report. And as the Speaker indicated, it is not going to end today. It is going to be work in progress for a very long time to come. And we can put on our oversight hat and ensure that the company does what is legal, what is important, and what is beneficial to the people of this country. So with these words, I want to thank you for the space granted.
Yes, Ni.
Speaker. Honorable Speaker. No, he's had his turn already. You see, when we are debating a report, he's had your turn already. No, it's not a ping-pong. Honorable Speaker, I had my turn and I can't talk.
But you are not the speaker. Are you the speaker?
I'm drawing his attention to it.
Are you the speaker?
When we are debating a report, it's not a ping-pong. We want to have, how many bites at the cherry?
Try this.
Honorable Speaker, you were speaker and you spoke before.
I think the speaker may have put off all of them.
Why? Why should we be doing that? Then they should let me read the report again. Why? Why are you doing?
Why are you jittery? Why are you jittery?
Honorable member, you were in the house when I raised the issue, and I wanted a feedback from the house as to whether they want to reopen and make comments. And the feedback I got was yes. And so I've allowed a number of members to make comments again. The fact that he made comment the other day doesn't prevent him from doing so today. It doesn't prevent you from doing so today. How can you create the impression that the speaker is not in charge? What? No. The impression. I have not said you said. I use the word impression. I will not allow anybody to erode my authority. Not that of the speaker. That will be the end of this house. Please.
Speaker, I apologize. I didn't get a sense that we can talk again. Then I'll have my turn.
Yes, if you want to, I'll give you.
He did. And I thought it's not painful.
I had already indicated that what I know at the end of the debate was for me to give directives. But the way leadership themselves wanted to talk. So I put the question to the House. And that is what the House said they wanted to do.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize. I didn't understand it that way. Because he's been speaking for so long. The man who was writing.
Please. You are a senior member and you know how we respect each other. So
thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
as I said, be snappy.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yes, I agree with you. The last time we touched on this issue, we came to the conclusion that the protection of livelihoods was paramount to this House. As leaders and as people who have been voted for by people, the interests of those people should be our primary concern. The international human rights community even talks about the protection of indigenous people in circumstances as this. Indigenous people have rights. They have freedoms. And such freedoms and rights cannot just be trampled upon in the name of investment. The people of Adan, the chiefs and people of Adan, appreciate the investment that is coming to the Songo area. In fact, contrary to the perception of the majority whip, all the people who have invested in the Adan Songo salt have been Ghanaians. If you care to know, you haven't heard of the name Apentine before. Vacuum salt, Songo salt, all those investments were spearheaded by Ghanaian local businessmen. So it is not new. We are not against a Lotrocam. The people of Adan are not against the investment. But a ratification of an investment like this that do not take into consideration the protection of livelihoods, heritage sites, and also the indigenous people cannot be said to be in the interest of the people. Never. We don't have any problem with Parliament ratifying it. But Parliament cannot ratify an agreement which goes and plays against the interest of the indigenous people and their livelihoods. So investment, so our heritage sites, which the United Nations itself has declared that needed to be protected, should be wiped off. This is what we are talking about. We are not against the investment. But what we are saying is that investment cannot be at the expense of the livelihoods and the sustainability of human beings. Because that's the only way we can maintain and sustain peace in the area. And please, don't let it be lost on us People are being killed. As it happened in Nigeria with the Ogoni tribe area on the oil, we don't want that to happen in Ghana. Consistently, Electrochem is abusing human rights, violating the freedoms of people, and also pushing beyond the limit. Mr. Speaker, we sitting here, excuse my language, we are not more intelligent than the technical committee that was put in place by the Rawlings regime, by the Kufuor regime, by the Atanos regime. All these people advised that the protected area for commercial investment must be there, and also the 11,000 hectares must be there for the indigenous people so that we can continue to sustain indigenous livelihoods. But when you have an investment who has come in and want to take all the 42,000, where are the people also going to live? Where are they going to live? If you are talking about collaboration, fine. Why do we have mining companies in some areas and also have small-scale miners? Why do we have small-scale miners and have mining companies in Obuasi, in Takwa, and all those places? Why do we have them? Why is it different from the people of Adan, that the people of Adan, the small-scale miners of the Adan area, of the Songo area, must be denied their right to also exist? So we are not against the investment. What we are talking about is investing in a condition where peace and sustainability will be preserved. That's what we're talking about. My honorable member of parliament for Adan and for Sege are not talking about the fact that we don't want Electrochem to exist. Far from that. We have no problem with Electrochem. But what we are saying is that the livelihoods of the people must be protected. The sustainability of our small-scale industries must be protected. And the Minister for Trade and Industry sitting here and encouraging a situation whereby small-scale industries will be killed in the name of a monopoly. This is not right.
He didn't mention your name.
It's not right.
He didn't mention his name. He said a minister.
Whatever benefits you think will come to the people cannot be equated with what they themselves can generate and live on. So all that we are saying, Mr. Speaker, all that we are saying is that, yes, we are saying that this report must look into the issues of preservation of our heritage sites, the protection of the human rights of the people, and also making sure that livelihoods are protected by the encouragement of the small-scale investors in the salt area. That's what we are talking about, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, he mentioned my name. Can I?
Sorry.
He mentioned my name.
He mentioned your name.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Nobody mentioned his name. Nobody mentioned his
name. You think I can? Mr. Speaker, he did mention my name. Everybody heard it. He heard it.
Nobody
said.
Nobody mentioned your name.
Well,
nobody mentioned.
Well, listen to something. If you don't comprehend English properly, he said the Minister of Trade and Industry is sitting there and.
But you don't have the floor.
I know you are making a point. Let me, Mr. Speaker, I happen on this occasion to be the only Minister for Trade and Industry in Ghana.
Please resume your seat. Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Can I make my point?
Yes.
Please? Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, he just made an outrageous statement. The honorable member for the Rio who just spoke. Mr. Speaker, I've been on my feet advocating the essentials of the industry and all the bits that I've spoken about. Everybody has heard me in the country. He made the outrageous statement that I am encouraging the disinvestment of small-scale industries in Ghana when I'm the champion of small, medium scales in Ghana. What is it that I said today which gives him the impression that I am asking for small-scale industry not to develop? What, Mr. Speaker, I have been saying that for all these years that Songo hasn't been developing, hasn't been progressing, and it hasn't worked because Songo has been sabotaged by some specific individuals. This is the occasion where a Ghanaian indigenous is involved, so we should give him the space to develop. That's all I've said, Mr. Speaker. I haven't talked about not allowing small industry.
I've heard you now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But, Mr. Speaker, please, I need an apology and retraction from him.
I'm going to him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Well, he said, your submission, Honorable Neil Lamte Van der Poel, created a different impression. Is that impression that he disagrees with? What do you say to that?
The minister got me wrong.
Well, Minister, you've heard him clear and loud that you got him wrong. So we let it.
So doesn't he have to say what he said so that you can determine whether I got him wrong?
I did listen to him.
He said
I did listen to him. I did not get the impression that you got. That is why I gave you the opportunity to say. And the impression that you got and what you have articulated is that he has created the impression that you are not in support of small, medium scale.
It wasn't impression. He said it clearly. Those were his words. Everybody heard it. That's clearly what he said.
He said it.
Everyone get the transcript. Your transcript writers are here. He said it openly. Mr. Speaker, he didn't give it to any impression. He gave it oral advocacy. He said it.
Well, I didn't hear that, so I'll refer to the transcript, and then later on we'll come back to it. But
thank you very
please,
much.
let's move on. Can I take one or two, and then we bring finality to this matter? Yes, I'll come to you. Yes, so one from this side, Honorable Suhini.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on this very important issue. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry I may have to take you and the House a little back because
Honorable Member, you will not have the comfort of time to take
I'll try.
back.
Mr. Speaker, but it is important that...
No, because I'll have to manage the time.
Okay, sir. Okay. Mr. Speaker, the point is that you made the referral to the Joint Committee of Parliament because at the time, this House was in a transition process to form new committees. Mr. Speaker, the Joint Committee that was tasked to consider this controversial matter because of the conflict our earlier decision had generated in the area were the Lands and Forestry Committee and the Mines and Energy Committee. Mr. Speaker, along the line, the new committees were formed. You, however, directed that those committees with business referred to them, especially the joint ones, should finish whatever business that they were doing. Mr. Speaker, we therefore continued to engage. Mr. Speaker, but I want to put it on record that the so-called report of the Joint Committee is an individual member's report. Mr. Speaker, it is an individual member's report and not a committee of the joint, or not the Joint Committee that was tasked to look at this matter. Mr. Speaker, I have evidence on my phone where even this report was prepared before meetings of the committee ended. The report was prepared before even the committee finished the consideration. Mr. Speaker, we were called upon as members of the two committees to help the House resolve the conflict that was emanating between a private interest, a business interest, and the people of Adan. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, Parliament
is constituted by people who represent the public interest. We represent people. And so when the people we represent are affected by the decisions that we take, and then they raise the issues, it is important that we give them a fair hearing and a fair platform. Mr. Speaker, from day one, the individual who presented this report, and not on behalf of the committee, had made it clear at our meetings that the people needed education, and that once they were educated, the private person will go ahead and do his business. But Mr. Speaker, the records didn't show that the people needed only education, because clearly there were people in the community, leaders in the community, who initially were in support of the operations of this company, but later decided to change their minds because the agreements and the understanding they had initially had changed. And so you cannot dismiss their concerns if they initially supported it based on a certain understanding that had changed. It was important for this House to take our time and look at the reasons that have given cause to the, changing positions of some of the community members. Mr. Speaker, the records, for example, show that the application for the lots were different. Whilst in the initial stage, the business entity was aiming at just getting 1 or 2 lots and allowing and helping the community to use the other lot to support community mining. In the end, the business interests annexed all the lots, and it is now affecting even the communities that live within these mining areas. They have their shrines in these mining areas. They have their homes in these mining areas. And according to them, when we met with them, even when they go out, in some cases of their homes, they are attacked because they are said to be encroaching on mining areas. Mr. Speaker, we cannot dismiss these concerns. We know that salt, and for that matter, the resource there does not belong to the people of Ada. It belongs to the people of Ghana. We appreciate that. We understand that. But because of their proximity to that mineral resource, its mining should not deny them of their livelihood. It should not deny them of their existence. It should not deny them of their cultural values. And so, Mr. Speaker, I once again want to make the point that at the time that this report was prepared, I had become ranking member of the Lands and Natural Resources Committee. And at no point did the committee meet to agree on the report that was filed. At no point did the committee meet, the joint committee meet, to agree on the report that was filed. And I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker, I have evidence of this report being prepared even before the last 2 meetings of the joint committee. I had to impress on the chairman to allow for the committee to finish its meetings before we can all edit that report and decide if we have to, change it or improve upon it. Only for the chairman, because maybe he is not minded by the fact that he will be returning to this House, he seems not to care that much about the integrity of members of this House, Mr. Speaker. I apologize if that is offensive. But, Mr. Speaker, those of us who still have an interest, in how Parliament works, must ensure that tomorrow,
Honorable Member,
when we are...
Honorable Member, let me listen to the chairman. Let me listen to the chairman, because I myself feel that you've gone beyond the rules. Yes, chairman.
Honorable Speaker, a very funny impression is being created that a report is my handiwork. Right. Imputation, very, very distasteful imputation that the report is mine and I engineered it. It's unfortunate. I have the ranking here. My good friend George Lapo will confirm. Now, what was Honorable Mutaka speaking to? You've not read the report, and that's why most of the issues are. If you've read the report, you realize that there is no concern that was not captured at all. And you wouldn't stand here and think that, oh, out of the blue, I engineered a report for what end? Honorable Speaker, the kind of foul imputation that, as if I ignored the entire committee, including my ranking was here, Honorable Mutaka, and all the giants on the committee, and I put together a committee to satisfy what end. We should withdraw it. You see, as if this is a fraud of a report. It's not. It is the thinking of most people. And if you believe that this report is distasteful to you, it's up to you. But what is it in the report that is your concern that has not been captured? Honorable Speaker, let me show, for instance, we are advising that anywhere that you find a fetish place, they shouldn't desecrate it. It is in the report you've not read. And don't come and exhibit this ignorance and try to impute ill motives to me as if out of the blue I conjured a report to come and deceive this house.
Honorable Chairman, your point is well made. Honorable Member, you need to withdraw the statement that are talking about fraud and all those things. That definitely.
Mr. Speaker, my position was not out of ignorance, as he is suggesting. Mr. Speaker, my position remains true. And my position is that the report that has been filed, and I'm happy he has made reference to the ranking at the time on mines and energy. He will admit, and he's right here, that when we had our last meeting, he had suggested that we should be allowed as the new committees to prepare a report. And that the joint committee should, be dissolved into one so that we can do a report. So he did not even attend our last meeting. But I'm sure he was busy dealing with some other business. But the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee did. And I also did with my chairman of the Lands and Forestry Committee. Mr. Speaker, after that meeting, we expected that we will all get copies of a draft report so that we can all make inputs to that draft report. Mr. Speaker, none was shared. Only for us, in fact, Mr. Speaker, I was far away in Tamale when the NDC was about to launch its national campaign, and I was part of the organizing committee. When I heard that the chairman was presenting a report, Mr. Speaker, if the honorable chairman has any contrary version of the way things happened, he should state so. I am not accusing him of fraud. I am simply stating what happened. And I'm saying that after our last meeting, no report had been generated and shared among the committee members to make input or to consider. The only thing we heard was that the chairman was presenting a report. And when I checked, I realized it was the same report he prepared before the last two committee meetings were held. And these are facts, Mr. Speaker. And if it shows that it amounts to fraud, I am not accusing him of it. It is the act. Thank you, Father.
By your own presentation, before you, a member of the new committee got to the earlier joint committee, they had prepared a draft report. That was your presentation. You are now adding that you were a member of it. But earlier on, what you stated is that you met a report. That is the new committee. Please, will you listen to me? I listen to you. And you are referring to Honorable Jinapo. Yes, a member of the Mines and Energy Committee who is aware that this draft report was there before the new committee was asked to take over. That is your presentation. And now, at the end of the day, you are saying that from what the chairman presented is that old draft report, not what has been prepared by the new joint committee. So that cannot be ascribed as the report of the chairman. You cannot say that. It doesn't add up. Please, that is why I said you should withdraw.
Mr.
If
Speaker,
you said that is not the report of the new joint committee, you are right. But to ascribe that to the chairman alone, that definitely is unfair.
Mr. Speaker, you know I cherish your guidance a lot. And maybe in my earlier presentation, I wasn't clear enough. But Mr. Speaker, I have been part of the committee from day one, because I was the deputy ranking of the Lands and Forestry Committee at the time you made the referral to the joint committee. So from the first meeting of the joint committee, I have been part of the process. And the chairman will bear me out that I never missed a meeting. And I was actively part of the deliberations from day one. But by the time that we were finalizing our meetings, I had become the ranking of the Lands and Natural Resources. I had been promoted to be ranking. I have to add that, Mr. Speaker. I had been promoted to be ranking. And then Honorable John Jinapo had also been promoted to another committee. Yes, but elevated to another committee. And so he didn't think that it was even prudent for us to continue with the joint system. But I reminded him that you had given the direction that the old committees should finish their business. So we cooperated with the chairman. And then but at that time, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that at that time, he had already done a draft report. He had done a draft report, but I pleaded with him.
Are you saying the committee, the joint committee, has done a draft report, or the chairman has done a draft report?
Mr. Speaker, to be honest with you, the chairman had done a draft report, because I was with it from day one, and he shared it with me. Mr. Speaker, I read the draft report, and I said that it was not entirely bad, but it was important for us to listen to all the stakeholders and finish our meetings before we can conclude on the report, which he agreed. He said. And it was based on that prompting that we scheduled 2 other meetings, which we held. And after those 2 meetings, we were going to now look at the final report. I did not want initially to dismiss the draft he gave, but I thought that it could be enhanced and improved based on what we were hearing from the stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, only for me to hear, whilst I was far away in Tamale, that he was presenting that draft report that I did not, because of your guidance and your wisdom that has always helped me, antagonize him with, even though I had problems with it. But I still wanted to follow it to the end, so that we could enhance and enrich that report. So, Mr. Speaker, the facts are as I have presented it. And I am not accusing anybody of any wrongdoing. But if it looks like it, then it is what it is, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, leadership gave you some small space, but it's now being abused. The whole issue has been reopened, and it's a debate, but we have other business to transact. So do I take it away from them? Leadership.
Speaker, this matter is a very important matter, and we are all passionate about it. May I suggest, and I'm sure my colleague will also speak in support, that we take one apiece, one, and that will be it. We'll draw the curtains. Speaker, one comment from each side, and we draw the curtains on the same matter.
Yes, please.
Position canvassed by the majority whip, except to say that, Mr. Speaker, you have given members enough time. I can't hear anything new coming from anybody. Mr. Speaker, I would recommend that you just give a directive on this matter. Nobody is going to say anything which is any new information. Mr. Speaker, this is a recall for critical business. We have done more than 1 hour on this, and the passion is just going up and up. Mr. Speaker, from my back, I can hear people saying that we should adjourn the House in the day almost right now because there's no more critical business to be done. So, Mr. Speaker, for the House not to degenerate once again, Mr. Speaker, I think you should just give the directive and adjourn the House. No suspension. Oh, yes, because I can't hear. Mr. Speaker, yes, Mr. Speaker, we come here to do critical business. And then everybody on this side is passionate. In fact, the other side is speaking as if this was the reason they recalled us. Mr. Speaker, give the direction and we see. Mr. Speaker, there's nobody here who has said anything new, which I didn't hear when we were having the last meeting. Mr. Speaker, so let's conclude on this. What we expect, Mr. Speaker, is your directive. That is what matters. Colleagues have spoken twice, 3 times.
Honorable members, because of the nature of the subject matter, I decided to relax the rules. But to be frank with you, the language and passion that is being exhibited is carried from the ground and not reflected in you as leaders. What you're talking about could incite the stakeholders or partners to do other things that are not intended by you because of the language and passion that you are exhibiting here. The directives that I was going to give, and I'll give them, are meant to create avenues and opportunities for some of these issues that you are raising to be resolved as we go along. That is why I premised my statement by saying that this is not an event, it's a process. It will take time for us to lead them to resolve their outstanding issues. It has been a long-standing conflict. As a result of that, it has come to Parliament to lead. And that is what I intend doing. But you insisted you wanted to make comments, and you reopened the whole debate, and not even being sensitive to that, the fragile nature of the conflict. That is my worry. And so I will not even grant the one each. I will proceed to give the directives. Enough is enough. Honorable members, clearly what has happened shows that there's still a lot of work to be done. And I want to give you a bit of what has brought us here before giving the directives. You all recall, on 6th November 2020, this House ratified 3 mining lease agreements that validated the salt mining undertaking by Electrochem Ghana Limited in the Adan-Songo Lagoon for a term of 15 years in accordance with Article 9681 of the Constitution. The House will again recall that the issue of salt mining at the Songo Lagoon was brought to our attention following a clash between small-scale miners and officials of Electrochem Ghana Limited, which resulted in the death of a minor. The matter was subsequently referred to a joint committee on energy and lands and forestry, later on reconstituted to energy, lands, and natural resources to investigate and report back to the House. The terms of reference set for the committee were: 1, review the contracts ratified by Parliament on 6 November 2020. 2, visit the Songo Lagoon site. And 3, advise on the possibility of renegotiating the contract to allow small-scale mining by the local indigenes. So these were the terms of reference to the committee. On the 26th of July, 2024, the committee delivered its report to the House and made a lot of recommendations in the report, which I'm going to put for your adoption. A very comprehensive report was submitted by the committee with a lot of recommendations. Following the presentation of the report, members of the House raised several concerns regarding its contents and recommendations. These concerns include, but not limited to what I'm going to say: 1, a failure to visit the site, which, according to the report, the committee members had postponed until, quote, later on, contrary to the terms of reference given to the committee. That was one I identified myself when I read the report. 2, inadequate stakeholder consultation, specifically, unacknowledged papers on the matter, and as such, these were not reflected in the report. And I will name some of them. 1, paper submitted to Parliament by Third World Network Africa on the electrochem project in the Adar-Songo Lagoon and related matters, dated 5th December 2023. That was not reflected in the report. 2, paper submitted by 1 Mr. Francis Menu Adabo, Member of Parliament for Ahafo and North South East. That too was not reflected in the report. Again, inadequate redress to some issues, such as the area of land available to Electrochem Ghana Limited, since a large part of the concession has been encumbered. Again, the issues that the people keep on raising, dealing with unemployment, were still not well addressed in the recommendations. We also had the delayed investigations into the deaths resulting from the confrontations between Electrochem and the people of Ada. That was also not properly dealt with by the committee's report. After that, as Speaker, I had to receive responses from the stakeholders because they insisted that they had to talk to me. And so we had a group called Adar-Songo Lagoon Association appear before me to express dissatisfaction with the current form of the report. I had a delegation of chiefs, queens, and queen mothers and indigenes come to draw my attention to the benefits they were getting from the investment of Electrochem Ghana Limited. From this report and the submissions made by the stakeholders, I could discern some concerns, and I'm going to raise these concerns. One, the report missed the opportunity to address some issues. One is the legitimacy of additional lease agreements allegedly held. I use the word allegedly because it's not being established, held by Electrochem. Specifically mentioned were those covering Adan West and East and Adan East, amounting to 140,000 acres. Two, further, the original concession was limited to 7,186 acres for the Adan West area, pertaining solely to the Adan Salt Project, formerly known as the Vacuum Salt Project. However, in addition to the original concession, the Adan Salt Association assessed that Electrochem has forcefully taken over an additional 5,814 acres of adjoining lands, and it included villages, cemeteries, and sacred sites, bringing the total land under Electrochem control to 41,000 acres. The report mentioned that 1,000 acres were given to the indigenes for their use for survival. But as I stated earlier, the report did not go to establish what area, what land was now available for the company. Because apart from what the company has given to the indigenes, they talk about the cemeteries, the sacred sites, and villages. And the company is being prevented from having access to those areas. So what acreage is left for the company? There was another stakeholder group called Dangbe East Salt Producers Association. And they had also measured the disputed leases. And their intent was to use the lands for brine extraction for their salt farming businesses. These were not addressed by the report of the committee. The other issue that came out was a conflict between the 1992 Constitution and the PNDC Law 287. That is also unresolved, which meant that there's still a lot of work to be done. Honorable members, some concerns were further expressed by both the indigenes and the company. We have to look at how to address the issues of the cemeteries, which they are alleging that they are being desecrated, the fetish priests who also came up, the cultural sites, and also issues of human rights. Honorable members, this site is also a heritage site. It's not just free land. And the United Nations has recognized that. And so I want to take this opportunity to encourage us as the representatives of the people and the leaders of our people. They are relying on us for a resolution of this seemingly permanent dispute. I am going to give these directives based on this understanding. 1, the validity of the additional lease agreements for Ada West and East, covering a total of 140 acres, has to be looked into. The application and relevance of PNDC Law 287 and its implications for Electrochem Ghana Limited leases and future operations in the lagoon by the investor. We have to look at it. The issue of compensation for affected parties. That is an outstanding issue that has not been well addressed. And so there is a need for further engagement with stakeholders in this matter. And the stakeholders, if the committee had gone aground, would have identified all of them, but they include the Ada Salt Association, some community leaders, traditional authorities, and other stakeholders. I will want you to engage further to ensure a fair, transparent, and peaceful resolution of this dispute. And so I direct that the Committee on Lands and Natural Resources continue to engage the parties to establish the area of concession now available to the investor. The investor, as of now, is not sure as to what or which area he could go or not go, because there's been a lot of encroachment, and the people have identified a lot of areas they call sacred cemeteries, and even though he has invested, he cannot have access to those areas. It has to be established, and we are the people better positioned to mediate in this matter. 2, we have to look at the livelihoods of the local communities, particularly the small-scale salt mining group. And so I direct the Committee on Employment, Labor Relations, and Pensions to engage with the stakeholders to try to resolve this matter. There are a lot of outstanding welfare issues they have to look at. As much as the company is concerned about the area that they've given to them, they are not satisfied. And so with your mediation, you could solve the differences between the parties. 3, the cultural and spiritual significance of the lands involved. To mention a few, the cemeteries, the sacred sites, and the traditional spaces. I want the committee, and I direct the Committee on Chieftaincy, Cultural, and Religious Affairs, and the Committee on Defense and Interior to get involved and to continue to engage to solve out the outstanding issues. Honorable members, the commitment of this Parliament to the people definitely is very paramount. But it's part of our commitment to attract investment into the country to assist us take care of the living standards of the people. But we must ensure that all actions taken by investors and our people reflect, at the end of the day, the will of the people and our adherence to the principle of justice, equity, and the rule of law. The investor has to be protected to continue with the deployment of the development of the project, and be assured of his fair investment returns in the case, in the project, sorry. But above all, we represent the interests of our people, and that is paramount. And so the committees I have mentioned, please, this is a standing directive. Visit the area, the site, the people, and engage with them as leaders, not as combatants. The debate has been carried on as if you are part and parcel of the parties. You are not. You are to create the avenue for a peaceful settlement of this long-standing dispute. We know the importance of the mineral, salt. We know that even Nigeria here, they import salt from Brazil instead of from Ghana. We know that even our bones are made of salt. And so it's so important that if we allow good investment into the salt mining alone in Ghana, Ghana stands to develop from it. But because of this dispute, we are unable to do so. So this House must not fail the people. And so I direct the committees to continue to engage. I myself am available to support the committees in this direction. With this, honorable members, I put the question. And the question is that, subject to the directives being given, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we learn at your feet and we make suggestions to you. Considering the nature of your directive, I submit in all humility. You can't hear me? Mr. Speaker, I submit in all humility that considering the nature of your directive, a decision on this matter will not suffice, respectfully. Mr. Speaker, you made very broad and far-reaching orders. It is not a matter for a question at this stage. If that is really your intent, that you want the matter to be properly concluded. So I hold a view most humbly and without prejudice to your experience and your understanding of the issues, that we should rather see it as work in progress. Because, Mr. Speaker, the real import of what you have said so far.
Honorable Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker,
this is where I have a problem. Exactly the term I used when you were not on your seat. Work in progress. That was what I stated here.
I'm not challenging you with respect, Mr. Speaker. You said you were putting a question. I'm not, Mr. Speaker, when I'm not seated, I monitor proceedings with respect. I use my phone, or maybe I'm doing something administrative. A lot of memos come and I have to minute and members will be putting pressure. Yes, I do. Mr. Speaker, I do.
Whilst working on memos.
Mr. Speaker, I do. Yes, Mr. Speaker, that is true. It's a fact. Multitasking. You are signing and then you are watching because it's loud.
You
Mr.
see,
Speaker, I'm saying that I'm
you
only
can
guiding.
be looking in that direction, but you are not seeing anything.
Mr. Speaker, well, Mr. Speaker, let's move to the main issue. Mr. Speaker, the point here is, to the extent that you have made a declaration that this is work in progress, and you've made some orders, I hold a view, in all modesty, that we cannot take a decision subject to the directions. We cannot. So let your directions the orders be carried than to say that we should take a decision subject to. There cannot be anything conclusive and then we move on again to do something else. The motion cannot be adopted in its form because members have attacked the work of my respected senior, Honorable Atachian. He said that their work is conclusive.
Honorable Majority Leader, with all due respect, I've taken note of that and I've been addressed, I commended the report. But you know, when you go through the report, you see copious recommendations. Those recommendations are relevant to these directives I've given. Without those recommendations, these directives have no leg to stand on. I have not agreed with the criticisms of the report. But I have come out clearly to indicate that the report did not cover some areas. And I identified all those issues and said there was still work in progress. And so these committees will continue to engage the parties. And so I want the report, the statement I made was the report to be adopted because of the recommendations and other findings as contained in the report. If you don't adopt that report, then the directives will be of no consequence. That is why I'm putting the two together. That's why I said subject to. But you can go on.
Speaker, can the leadership approach the Speaker?
Yes, leadership.
Feeling I'm getting from my back does not signal that they have patience enough for further deliberation. Mr. Speaker, if my respected leader would agree, can we let Mr. Speaker conclude his directive and let's implement that and see how it goes. I believe there will be lessons learned out of that. Mr. Speaker, that is what I would suggest.
What I am seeking to do is not to bring finality to any matter. What I am seeking to do is not to disengage Parliament from continuing with the work. I want to formally put Parliament in the center of this matter so that Parliament will mediate, put a process in place to try, through our committees, to engage the stakeholders and resolve the outstanding issues. That's all what I'm trying to do. And the first and immediate benefit will be to calm nerves on the ground and prepare the people to receive our committees, to engage and discuss further with them. That is all what I'm trying to do. If the House thinks otherwise, I don't take decision. You take. I only guide the House. And based on what you say, I give directives. If that is what the House wants to do, I'm prepared to meet leadership. But please, as I mentioned earlier on, we still have work to do. We have only today. At the end of the day, we adjourn sine die. Yes, Honorable Katie Hammond.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate all that you just said, but the difficulty, Mr. Speaker, I also had was exactly what he was attempting to articulate, maybe in a different form altogether. Mr. Speaker, you have the report which you are not entirely happy with. hence all the directives that you're giving. So I thought he was suggesting that in view of that, why let us take a decision on the one that is not complete and which you are not happy with, rather than maybe hold on to it for the time being, let the leadership, the group, the committees that you've appointed to rectify what you consider to be anomalies and then incorporate the two. And then, Mr. Speaker, I think the House would...
Honorable Katie Hammond.
Mr. Speaker.
If we don't adopt the report,
yes,
what will this subsequent committee stand on to go to the ground, visit the area, and engage? They will stand on this report that we have adopted as a House.
Mr.
It is
Speaker,
from that they will spring up
again,
to do the work.
We yield to your discretion.
Please. I don't seem to have your gray hair, but my length of stay here has given me some additional
That is
value.
why I quickly yielded. As soon as I realized that you were opposed to me, I quickly sat down. Got two things: senior at the university and senior here. The only difference is this, but this is natural.
Anyway, I'm not too sure. I'm senior in birth. I don't know when you were born. But at the university, I was senior to you.
Yes, I think, Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of public record. We can easily check. I think my hair is older than you, but I think in terms of age, you may be older than me. We can check the date of birth. I know you are older than me. Kwabra is older than me. Yes.
Anyway, this is on the lighter side. Honorable members, please, the records are clear. I finished my directive. I'll put the question for you to adopt the report. And based on that report, the other committees can engage because we've adopted what the committee has submitted to us. We have not rejected that report. Then they will build on what the committee has submitted to do further interrogation into the matter, further inquiries, and then we as the House will continue. When there's a need for any of the committees to report to the House, they will do so, and then we'll intervene. Particularly, I'm more concerned, you are for reviewing the approved agreements. It's not for us to. It's now in the hands of the executive. It's when the executives resubmit them, then we have the opportunity to have a second bite. But definitely, we'll assist both the investor and the indigenes to establish the area within which they could both operate. And then get them to understand that the investor company is not having 41,000 acres available. A lot of it has been taken away. We have to try to settle these differences. So I put the question, subject to my directives. Those in support of the adoption of the report of the committee, say aye. Those against the adoption of the report of the committee, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The House has accordingly adopted the report of the committee subject to the directives I have delivered. We now move on to, yes, please. No, not closing yet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as has been agreed, we move on to the Order Paper Addendum 2 and proceed to take item 1, which is presentation of instrument 1A. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Majority Leader, I'm not aware of agreement on 1A. I don't know about leadership, whether you did agree on 1A. I'm aware of 1B, which we have presented already, but I'm not aware of 1A, which is dealing with education regulatory bodies, National Teaching Council Regulation 2024. I'm not aware of it. Leadership.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware of this regulation. I've only seen it on the other paper. Ideally, I would have cross-checked with the chairman of the subsidiary legislation, who happens to be a member of my side, and would have had some guidance before so that I can comment on the matter. But Speaker, as we speak, I've not done that because there was no agreement on the matter. So Speaker, I beg to say that this matter be stepped down until we do further consultation on this.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I respect our honorable leader for his view on this item, but I would like to indulge you for us to move on to 2A and 2B. 2A and 2B, I think. Thank you.
Leadership. Was there an agreement on 2A and 2B?
Mr. Speaker, I know when we met at Conclave, what we wanted to do, I saw you making remarks on it on your own order paper. I did not remember 2A and B as part of the agreement. Mr. Speaker, we promised each other we will not come here and, Mr. Speaker, you see, then they start saying just laying, just laying. It is not just laying.
That's not how it's done.
We want to know what you are laying. It's just laying. It's not about just laying. So, Mr. Speaker, let's just follow what we have agreed to do to carry colleagues along. We have agreed to do the 250 loan. Mr. Speaker, our side supported, we did this. If you begin to introduce things we have not agreed and it degenerates, don't blame anybody. It doesn't matter whether it's a bill or not. We did not agree on it.
Introduce a bill in the House of Parliament. What are you talking
Honorable Minister, the Minister of State for Finance. I knew you traveled. You just came this afternoon.
Honorable members, I chaired the conclave meetings.
Yes.
I chaired. There was no agreement on these ones. We agreed to do the EPA, yes, the Environmental Protection Agency bill. The minister herself came, and we agreed to do that. But we were told they were left with 7 proposed amendments. Now, when the order paper was submitted, we have a plethora of proposed amendments. These are not 7. Why do you do that? You said 7, so we agreed. I myself endorsed it, that we have to take it. Now you brought voluminous proposed amendments.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mr. Speaker, I want my colleagues opposite to know that we are ready to support to do any business. Indeed, when our colleague, the Minister responsible for environment came, he said the amendments were only 7. In fact, I was one of those people who supported and were moving the clauses. But these are not seven amendments.
30.
These are not 7 amendments. You know, so you encourage us to support. When we want to support, you are keeping things under your armpit, then you begin to spring a surprise. Then it's as if we are not being fair to you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am pleading with my colleagues that, Mr. Speaker, the items 2A and B have consequences on our economy. Mr. Speaker, our donor partners, especially the IMF, is due for a further review. These are matters that the nation must be seen to be taking action. We are not going to pass the Customs Amendment Bill today. Neither are we going to pass the Ghana Deposit Protection Amendment Bill today. All we pray for is for our colleagues to indulge us, to lay so that it be referred to the appropriate committee to deal with it. So we're not asking that these be done today. Same with item 1A, which has to do with the education regulatory bodies regulations 2024. Mr. Speaker, so I am only pleading that these papers being laid will take less than a minute. It is a bow and the reading of the subject matter. I am pleading with my colleagues. I am pleading with my colleagues. We have approached our business with our colleagues in good faith. We are not here to surprise you. Yes, there could be some one or two issues that we disagree, and we have moved a step further to say, look, if you think these are difficult issues here and there, we'll place them on ice. But we'll plead, let us proceed to lay these ones. Now, Mr. Speaker, on the bill, the EPA bill, it is true that it had been mentioned that the clauses are 7. But the chair of the seven clauses. Indeed, when the chair of the committee, who is from the minority side, is confirming that indeed there are 7 major clauses that they are seeking to amend. The clause, just the interpretation bit, it's not a major thing. So, Mr. Speaker, I will plead with colleagues. Let us try and get these done. The politics of this parliament will not end today. I am pleading, Mr. Speaker. I am really pleading with colleagues. Let us look at each other's eyes by day and by night and act in good faith. It is a plea, and I am pleading. A brother by day, a brother by night. I am pleading. It is in the national interest that these things are done. I am pleading. I'm not forcing anything on anybody. I am pleading with colleagues. Please. Please. We've extended the hand of friendship.
Honorable members, let's be clear. Let's be clear in our minds as to what we are doing. Because I chaired the discussion. I'm surprised people are saying that what we have as proposed amendment are 7 clauses. Please count. There are more than 7 clauses. I counted them myself. All what I'm trying to establish is for us to be candid with each other. When I commit myself to doing something, I do it at the peril of my life, based on principle. And so when somebody tries to belittle my mind by like cajoling and deceiving me to accept to do something, it's very hurtful. And when I come, accept it. It's not 7. Count.
Mr. Speaker, not to challenge you, I would count with respect. We have clause 132. No, wait. Clause 132, clause 134.
Have you not seen clause 3?
Mr. Speaker, let's start with clause 3.
Have you not seen clause 124?
Clause 1, clause 3. Chairman.
Count.
Mr. Speaker, we are counting respectfully. Clause 3, 1. Clause 124, 2. Then 132, 3. 134, 4. 135, 5. 142, 6. 152, 7. 160, 7. 160 is 8, and then 179. So, Mr. Speaker, instead of 7, Mr. Speaker, wait. Mr. Speaker, instead of 7, it's 9. So, right, wait. Mr. Speaker, I want to yield to the chair of the committee. He says that he has a technical explanation on to why it's 7 clauses they are actually amended. Mr. Speaker, he is on the minority side. Mr. Speaker, if you can recognize him, he's on his feet. The chair of the committee is on his feet. Mr. Speaker, please recognize him.
Honorable members, just please resume your seats. I'll allow minority leader to have a say before I come to a chair of the committee. Yes, minority leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I am honestly worried. Worried in the sense that we came here for a purpose. This is not an ordinary sitting. This is indeed an emergency sitting. And Speaker, I'm surprised that we are introducing a lot more new things. At conclave, we all agreed that we will not be taking new things, apart from the 7 amendments. 7 amendments. The Speaker, this 7 amendments are indeed not 7. They are not 7, now 29. The Speaker, members are tired. We should understand that most of us came from our constituencies campaigning, and we want to go back and campaign so that we can return to this house. Mr. Speaker, we are filing our nominations on Monday. Members are going to chase their tax clearance certificates, and we are still sitting here, and many others. Mr. Speaker, as it stands now, it shows clearly that the reasons why they called us to be here, we have exhausted it. We have exhausted it. We have exhausted it. Our opponents are campaigning in our respective constituencies, and we are sitting here. Mr. Speaker, please. And the people that called us are not here. You can't even find them. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are done. We have done the Lord's work. The reasons why they invited here, Mr. Speaker, we've exhausted it. We have exhausted it. These 9 clauses apparently has now become, all of a sudden, has become 21. We can't sit for 21 new clauses. Mr. Speaker, these 21 clauses will take us 2-3 hours. In fact, sometimes 4 hours. 4 hours. We can't spend another 4 hours here. Mr. Speaker, I think at this stage, you may consider joining us, Sinidie. Mr. Speaker, I will move that you are joining us, Sinidie. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman of the committee, what do you say?
I don't think I can challenge my leader. Just to say that there's no basic
Allow him to speak. The speaker gave him the opportunity.
What my leader has just said. But just to say that the information I gave as regards the number of plots was in respect of substantive plots. And if you go to, we have 132. 134 had no amendment. It was a repetition. It was a printed So, Mr. Speaker, I did not intend to misinform. I did not intend to misinform Mr. Speaker. But just to say that we have 7 substantive clauses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So how many?
Honorable members. Yes, please. You are the ranking member.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can appreciate the concerns of my colleagues, especially those of the minority leader, in respect of the fact that members have come far just to do business for the House. Mr. Speaker, the first thing I would like to say is that, just like the majority leader said, if you look at the clauses, the substantive clauses are about 7 or 9. And the additions, if you look at most of the additions that have been tabled, most of them are technical in nature. They are just grammatical omissions and so on and so forth. And so I believe that since we have done sufficient winnowing, if members would agree with me, if we go through these amendments, I'm sure within few minutes, we should be done. Mr. Speaker, I'll plead with you and I plead with members to bear with us so that this all-important bill can go through for the good of our country and for the good of the environment. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
If they move it 4 times,
Are you members of the committee? I can give the opportunity to only one person. So can you vote and tell me who I should give it to?
Thank you very much. Because they have selected me. They have selected me to speak. So the rest are going to sit down.
Yes, honorable member for Bamboy.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful. Mr. Speaker, I want to second the motion that is raised by the minority leader. I do so. The motion that he moved, I'm seconding it. You have voted for me, so you keep quiet. I'll talk. Mr. Speaker, we are called here for very important business. And those were listed even before we got here. So if today any other person is telling me that what is on the order paper is more important than what we're called to come and do, I disagree. Mr. Speaker, we have dealt with the business for which we're called here. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, my constituents are calling me. I had planned a series of activities. I have to put all those activities on hold. And I told them that this evening I'll be coming back to the constituency. Here I am doing things that I was not called to come and do.
Mr. Speaker, with all humility, we want to appeal to you to adjourn this meeting sine die. We are doing this because, Mr. Speaker, you have called us here per the appropriate constitutional requirements. And we have come and we have dealt with that. We are appealing with you to let us go home and do what it's supposed to do with our constituents. Mr. Speaker, I'm told that the particular amendment we want to do are very, very important. If they were so important, why were they not captured as part of the business for which we were called here? So, Mr. Speaker, once I've seconded this motion and I've appealed to you, I know you will put the question and allow those who want to go and continue with their campaign, join the vice president out there, so that we can also go back to our constituencies and do our business. With this, Mr. Speaker, I thank you. Mr. Speaker, after all, if we finish all this business, so when we come back, what will we be doing? We'll have to do some of the business and leave some, so that when we come, we'll continue. And if you are saying that we should deal with the very important ones, when we come back, there won't be any important thing to do. So, Mr. Speaker, let us leave some of the important things, so that when we come back, Mr. Clark, I want the attention of Mr. Speaker.
Look, Clark, allow Speaker to listen. Allow the Speaker to listen. That point is very important. And to proceed.
Mr. Speaker, to conclude, I was just saying that we are told that these are the very important issues that we're supposed to discuss. And then we finish discussing these very important issues now. When we go and come, what other important things shall we be discussing? So, Mr. Speaker, let's go home and continue to do other very important business. Thank you.
Honorable members, as a compromise solution, I want to employ the House to take the easy ones and leave the most difficult one. I want to urge the House to let us present the instruments and the two new bills, which have something to do with the agreement we have entered into the IMF. But for the Environmental Protection Bill, we will not be able to take the bill through the consideration stage. That will involve not even 1 day. It could take more than 1 day. So that is not urgent now. But I want to once again urge members, let's present the papers. There are 3 left, and as you all know, it's very easy to present. Then I can adjourn the House. But I need you to support me on the 19th of September, where the University of Ghana Alumni Association is inviting me to present a paper, a lecture on the 30 years of parliamentary democracy, the journey thus far. And you are already crying about your campaigns. But I need all of you there. It's going to be at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana. I am going to go with a register. I'll take note of those who will be there and those who will not be there. 19th September. You have no other business. than to be there. Anyway, so let's take the 3 items on presentation of papers, and then we call it a day. That is a compromise solution. So we go back to order paper addendum 2, item 1, presentation of instruments. 1A, Minister for Education.
Education Regulatory Bodies, National Teaching Council Regulations, 2024.
Honorable members, the regulations just read is referred to the Committee on Education for consideration and report to the House. Sorry, referred to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. And I encourage the leadership of the Education Committee to support them for consideration and report to the House. Item 2, presentation and first reading of bills. 2A, Customs Amendment Bill 2024, Minister for Finance.
An act to amend the Customs Act 2015, Act 891, to provide a waiver for assemblers of electric vehicles and for related matters.
Honorable members, the said bill is referred to the Committee on Finance with the support of the leadership of the Committee on Budget and Economy and Development. We need the leadership of these two committees to support the Committee on Finance to consider the Customs Amendment Bill 2024. Item 2B, Ghana Deposit Protection Amendment Bill 2024, Minister for Finance.
An act to amend the Ghana Deposit Protection Act 2016, Act 931, to enable the Ghana Deposit Protection Corporation to better achieve the object of protecting a depositor from loss as a result of the occurrence of an insured event in respect of a member of the scheme, to support the development of a safe, sound, efficient, and stable market-based financial system, to ensure that the Ghana Deposit Protection Scheme conforms to international best practice, and to provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the said bill is also referred, I think, to the Committee on Communication. Communication? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, it should be the Committee on Economy. This is Ghana Deposit Protection. It has to do with the Bank of Ghana. How to protect depositors. How to protect depositors and how depositors' money will be protected. Mr. Speaker, this is an amendment bill. Now, in the new standing order, activities of the Central Bank, Bank of Ghana, has been given to the Committee of Economy and Development. Mr. Speaker, if you look at Order 230, the Committee on Economy and Development comprises chairperson, 32. The committee shall have referred to it matters related to the economy and development, planning general, and have jurisdiction to investigate and inquire into the activities of administration of ministries, departments, and agencies under the mandate of. It goes on to say that the committee shall have referred to it the following matters: the National Development Planning Commission, the development authorities, the mandate of the Bank of Ghana on economic development and efficient utilization of resources. Mr. Speaker, the Finance Committee can assist, but since this has to do with Bank of Ghana, the committee with the mandate overseeing the actions of the Central Bank is the Committee for the Economy, the Committee on Economy and Development. They have the mandate to deal with issues with Bank of Ghana, and they should lead it with the Finance Committee joining them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Leader, I actually wanted to refer to a number of committees, including the Committee on Economy and Development, Definitely, that is a subject matter committee. But there are financial issues, and there are also security issues. When I'm talking about the security, I'm talking about cyber, IT, security issues dealing with deposits. That's why I was mentioning communication. You know what has happened to a number of companies, including banks. That is why I thought that some of you, the members of parliament, are granted opportunity to study cyber security. Will be needed to guide this committee on how to protect those deposits that you are talking about. But if it's a pleasure of the House that we can let only the Economy and Development Committee to handle it, why not? But I believe it will be a better report if we added Finance and the Committee on Communication. Yes, Honorable Member.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, rightly so. The Bank of Ghana has several mandates. The Bank of Ghana has a mandate for monetary policy and economic development. But this is about the financial stability role of the Bank of Ghana. And financial stability deals with the financial system. And when the financial system collapses, how do we help depositors get their money? So it cannot be the case that this should be the mandate of an agency that is just looking at Bank of Ghana. But the Bank of Ghana's role in relation to making sure that there's financial stability and that depositors are protected. And I think that, yes, I agree with you that other committees have an interest and could be considered, but you cannot rule out the role of the Finance Committee in dealing with financial stability of our country. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I will accordingly refer it to the following committees. 1, Economy and Development. 2, leadership of the Finance Committee and leadership of the Committee on Communication. I so direct. I will now grant opportunity to the leaders, and but before that, let me listen to the majority leader. Maybe he has a word before you can make your remarks.
Mr. Speaker, before we get there, Mr. Speaker, earlier the concerns of my colleagues was to the effect that the amendments are many. The chairman of the committee has just told me, and he's shown me proof of sale. Do I have the ears of Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if I may have your ears, please. Mr. Speaker.
Well, you know, if the clerk is...
Very well. That is why I held on.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. So I engaged the chairman of the committee. Apparently, all the amendment, the tall list of amendments listed under clause 160 have already been incorporated. So basically, they have 4. That is clause 3, clause 124, clause 132. These are just the clauses, and they are very simple ones. And because we had earlier winnowed and asked that they withdraw and relay, Mr. Speaker, all these have already been incorporated. So I will plead with colleagues that we save our country's economy, get this thing done, and perhaps, Mr. Speaker, we can take other steps. It's just these 4, and these are very simple ones. That is my humble prayer, Mr. Speaker.
Right on, Speaker. We've already communicated where we are. You have also ruled. So at this point, we are at your mercy. I think that we'll leave that to you.
I've
Well, if the leaders have no closing remarks, I'll proceed to adjourn the House.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
I admire your relentless efforts to get this work done. But just take a look at your back. When you are able to bring them in, I'll come back to continue with the work.
Mr. Speaker, are you suspending sitting?
I'm watching the House.
Mr. Speaker, you know that you don't intend to embarrass me. Mr. Speaker, I know you don't intend to embarrass me. I am asking whether you intend to suspend so that we come back. Mr. Speaker, we have these 4 clauses. The committee members, Mr. Speaker, I've reached out to my colleagues on the other side. And we are adding them to at least, if it's just these 4. Mr. Speaker, they are in agreement that we take them. I am pleading. Mr. Speaker, they've agreed that these simple ones, we take them. They would have satisfied the IMF conditionality. Mr. Speaker, I have engaged them. It's just these 4. No more, it's no more 9. It's the others have been incorporated. Is that what you have? The last one. The last one.
Mr. Speaker. No, go on.
Honorable members, you all know what is happening. It's not good to the health of some of us. I've been seated here for how many hours now? The whole day. To be frank with you, I haven't even taken breakfast. Yes. So if you are minded to continue, well, my deputy speaker is here. I can hand over to him and go and take care of it. Because Minority Leader, yes, you have something to say.
Mr. Speaker, you called on me to say something before we adjourn Senate here. Right Honorable Speaker, I therefore present my closing remarks. Right Honorable Speaker, as stated in the beginning, this recall was indeed needless. And this is evidently clear from the business we have transacted so far in this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that there was no way the business we've done so far should have warranted such a recall. Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak, our country's democracy is at a crossroads, and it's important that the Electoral Commission take steps to ensure that they will conduct a free, fair, credible, transparent elections. Mr. Speaker, we were recalled to tackle tax exemptions and loans. Right Honorable Speaker, one of it has been approved. Mr. Speaker, our concern still remains with the tax exemptions. We strongly believe that these giveaways should be curtailed. We strongly believe that these giveaways of tax exemptions is unwarranted, Mr. Speaker, and we believe that at the time that the country is bleeding, Ghana should not be giving such giveaways to crony businesses. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, persistently, this government intends to give away a lot more tax exemptions. But Right Honorable Speaker, once again, the people of Ghana should bear in mind that the NDC minority stands for them. And we will do what is right. We will do the law's work and ensure that the right thing is done to protect the public purse. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity to say a few words which words will be to bring closure to this recall. Mr. Speaker, first, I would like to thank you for making yourself available to preside over our assembly.
You heard them saying when they were talking about the things we have agreed to, you noticed they were not even talking about it.
My expectation was that
even addendum number 2, things
we would be able to transact
we brought them down to them. You understand?
the government business we had programmed to transact. Unfortunately, we have not been able to do as expected. I take responsibility and take full responsibility for this inability to transact all the essential government business. Mr. Speaker, the Environmental Protection Bill is a critical bill for the government and for the nation. Unfortunately, we are adjourning without passing such an important bill. The 1D, 1F, the one district, one factory policy, which policy is to give certain exemptions to investors. Mr. Speaker, I'm not an economist, but I'm an entrepreneur, a businessman, and an industrialist. I've spent the better part of my life in the private sector. And I know, without the need to study economics, that when a government grant tax break, grant tax incentive, its purpose is to aid economic growth. Economic growth in the sense that there will be available resources for the company to expand, to innovate, and to employ more. It is not a giveaway. Therefore, the consistent submissions by Dr. Forson to the effect that they are rather protecting the ordinary Ghanaians is not true. It is not born out of any facts. Rather, what he is doing is to destroy our economy. Dr. Forson's submissions, where we have had investors coming in driven by policy, and to date, investors are not seeing their way clear, is rather unfortunate, very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, the issues raised by Dr. Forson and other members of the minority have all been factored by government side. Mr. Speaker, we started this 1D, 1F with raw materials as part of the exemptions through their constructive criticism, and I'll give him credit for that. I wouldn't just go to the gallery. Dr. Forson was constructive on the issue of raw materials. Government took it on board. I, as the majority leader, led the charge. Honorable Patrick Boama, the chair of the committee, supported it. And at the committee level, the raw materials were taken out of it. Again, we scrutinized certain requests, and the whole request was reduced more than half. Throughout the break, finance committee members met. They didn't go to their constituencies. The MPP, NDC members of the committee worked together and have produced a report, and they are satisfied that what they have done is for the good of the country. Only to be told that for some reasons, businesses that have invested should get stuck and they cannot do their business. If we are serious about our country, we will stop these trivialities and move away from undue partisanship and look at the national interest. Mr. Speaker, it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable we are destroying businesses. And if we think that by destroying these businesses, we will come back to power, we will come to power,
to have a fresh start and reset, I am sorry. You are destroying your very eggs. Mr. Speaker, I think that we can do better than this as parliamentarians. We can do better than this as a political class. We can do better than this as people who have been elected to lead our people. Mr. Speaker, we should have our disagreements, but to destroy the business life of people who have entrusted their businesses into our economy, who believe in the policies and say that we are not going to pass. When the Committee of Parliament has done its work, and the Committee of Parliament has recommended to the plenary, and plenary says, by certain operations of politics, we are not going to take them. And even in the closing remarks of the minority leader, he still finds face to do politics with it. Mr. Speaker, I'm not an economist. I did law. And if this is coming from an economist and a tax expert, it is very rich, extremely rich. Mr. Speaker, however, I shall conclude by again taking responsibility and conceding by thanking the minority for their cooperation. Mr. Speaker, I disagree with you on certain things, but I agree with you on certain things. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. You have done your bit. At the end of the day, the issue is we are the majority, you are the minority. So in spite of your position, if we had our majority, we could do business. Yes, I agree. That is why I'm saying that I am thanking you for your cooperation. If you listen to me, you know the point I'm making. And I'm not afraid to make my point. I'm saying I take responsibility, but I thank you for your cooperation. Because at the end of the day, your duty is to oppose me, my duty is to carry on. It doesn't mean well. Mr. Speaker, this is politics. All the days are not equal. We'll put our house in order. And I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that in October, we'll come well energized and well prepared. I shall conclude by encouraging my colleagues to campaign on issues. Let us get the beauty out of politics. We've all worked so hard. I pray that all of us come back to the 9th Parliament. As we are going back to our constituencies, we should draw the attention of the people to the work we've done, whether NDC or MPP. Let's work hard. Let's have them at heart. But let us identify the national issues to rally around. If we as a political class, we lose our relevance, Mr. Speaker, when that day comes, all of us will be wiped out. And that I want us to remember, even as we go back home. If we don't work hard, the people will lose confidence in democracy. Let's limit the way we attack each other. Let's limit the way we attack one another. Let's limit the way we brand each other. We should be mindful of saying and raise the very issues. Unemployment is critical. Let's come out with the issues that will turn the country around. And let us inculcate in our people, even through our campaign, the values of patriotism. Mr. Speaker, there are real issues that are affecting us as a people. And we have a role to play in ensuring that the citizens of Ghana live up to expectation, and that will start from we ourselves. And if we do, we would have demonstrated our own patriotism for them to follow. Without more, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank you and rest my case.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minority Leader as well as Honorable Majority Leader. I really don't know whether the Speaker himself will come and give a closing remarks.
Close.
So please let's hold on a bit. Yes, leader, you want to say something?
Mr. Speaker, may we suspend sitting whilst we wait for the Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, I can see Right Honourable Speaker on his way. I don't think there's the need for us to suspend. So.
Well, honourable members, on behalf of the Speaker and the leadership, let me extend our gratitude to all of you for responding positively to the urgent call. On that note, I will proceed to adjourn the House sine die, and honourable members, the House is accordingly adjourned sine die.